Chapter 404. Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise interrupted Yu Ruoyun and Wang Lan's quiet and leisurely stroll and chat. Looking at the source of the sound, a wave of star power swept over from a few hundred meters away. Almost subconsciously, the two flashed instantly and appeared outside the explosion door in the blink of an eye. This was the space checkpoint, the checkpoint to enter and exit the reclaimed space. Everyone who left the reclaimed space had to get a pass from the checkpoint before they could leave. A small space checkpoint dares to detain our Lu family's fleet. Who gave you the courage to do so? Who gave you the courage to do so? As soon as they arrived at the checkpoint and stepped through the shattered door, an arrogant voice came from inside before they could see the situation inside. No matter what family you're from, all goods must be checked when you leave the reclaimed space. We enter and exit the space 2 or 3 times a year, and we've always been let through directly. Did you just do the space-time checkpoint? The young man glanced at the badge of the person in front of him arrogantly. You really just took office. I heard that a new official makes 3 rounds of fire, but you have to see what can and can't be burned. You dare to burn the Lu family's head? Do you have a big background? Tell me, which family are you from? Let's see if you can do anything to the Lu family with your background. Mr. Lu Ao, please watch your words. I'm following the rules and regulations. I don't mean to target anyone. Also, my background isn't big, but it's not small either. I have the Jade State behind me. There's really someone who isn't afraid of death? Believe it or not, I'll make you step down today. Believe it or not, I'll break your legs and make you crawl out today. A cold voice suddenly came from behind. Which blind? Lu Ao turned around abruptly and was about to curse when he suddenly stopped. The moment he saw Yu Ruoyun's livid expression, Lu Ao's face suddenly turned pale. Lu Ao, you really do give the Lu family face. How dare you talk nonsense in the space-time checkpoint? Then he turned to look at the person in charge of the space-time checkpoint. You do it according to the rules. I'll see if the Lu family dares to make trouble. What's the matter with the door? He smashed it. The person in charge pointed at Lu Ao and said lightly, Why didn't anyone from the space ruling office come? We've already made a report. They should be here soon. Yu Ruoyun glanced at Lu Ao from the corner of her eyes and saw the disdainful expression on his face. She immediately understood. If the people from the Supreme Court were here, he wouldn't dare to break down the door. He took out a double hook fish clan emblem and placed it in front of the other party. Let's go again. This time, Lu Ao's expression immediately changed. Ruoyun, what are you doing? I'm your cousin. Why didn't I think of you as my cousin when I was embarrassed? You think you're in the right when you openly challenge the laws and regulations? After waiting for less than half an hour, the adjudicators from the Supreme Court finally arrived. They were all panting and sweating profusely. He didn't know if it was because he was scared or tired. Princess Yu, I'm sorry, we have failed in our duty. We have failed in our duty. The receptionist at the front desk is too daring. She actually dared to hide it from us. We didn't even know. Take him back and deal with him according to the law. Yu Ruoyun was too lazy to talk nonsense and said indifferently. Curator. When the Supreme Court took Lu Ao away, a staff member in a suit from the time gate rushed over. Curator, we found 100 kilograms of space stone. Hearing this, the curator looked at Lu Ao coldly. What else do you have to say? 100 kilograms, it's quite accurate, right on the line of death. It's only 100 kilograms of space stone. 100 kilograms can't open a different space. What's wrong? The Lu family has a research company and a project to study space stone. What's the problem with transporting 100 kilograms of space stone? Of course it's not a big problem once, but it will be a problem if it happens a few times. Why are you smuggling space stone? Do you still need to pretend in front of me? Yu Ruoyun snorted coldly. It's you bunch of vermin who ruined the reputation of the Takashi Hoshi family and damaged the interests of the country. Ruoyun, don't just scold me. Is the Liu family the only one who smuggled space stone? The Chu family, the Zhang family, the Zhao family, the Nangong family, the Situ family, the Sima family. Which family isn't it? You're still in the right? Yu Ruoyun was so angry that her star power instantly erupted. Since it's like this, it seems that it's time to reorganize. Isn't the Duanmu family a lesson enough? What are you all trying to do? Lu Ao shut up, his slightly panicked eyes somewhat evasive, and cold sweat the size of beans dripped down. Just now, he spoke too fast and felt good. But he suddenly realized that because of his words, the country would reorganize the space checkpoint and purge all the big families. Would he still be alive? Not to mention the other families, even the Liu family would line up to kill him if they wanted him dead, right? Lu Ao was taken away by the court, caught red-handed, and caught by Yu Ruoyun on the spot. Lu Ao shouldn't be able to escape the punishment of the law. But on the way back, Yu Ruoyun's face still didn't look good. Wang Lan wasn't good with words and didn't know how to comfort Yu Ruoyun, so he could only follow Yu Ruoyun silently all the way to the entrance of a community. Aren't you going to ask me what I was thinking along the way? I knew one thing when I was very young: never guess a woman's mind. Am I that kind of girl who has a strange way of thinking? Or is it that you can't understand Jiang Sinyu's mind? I didn't say that, don't spread rumors. In fact, this phenomenon of the Takashi Hoshi family has been around for a long time, especially those old Takashi Hoshi families. Since the beginning of the dynasty, this phenomenon hasn't stopped, and there's no end to it. In the hearts of the old Takashi Hoshi families, soul beads are wealth and the foundation of the family. Those fools, don't they know that soul beads will soon be replaced? The scarcity of soul beads is actually a lie. Jade State has 5 open spaces, and every open space has a large number of soul beads hoarded every year. Controlling the soul beads is one of the means used by the country to control the Takashi Hoshi. But soon, after the popularization of the Xianyun Xianqing record, the country will introduce the Takashi Hoshi military service law to restrict the Takashi Hoshi. Why are they still holding on to the soul beads? Are they keeping them to be buried with them? It's not easy to change the dependence of existing industries, and even if some people understand, how can they get off the ship when the ship hasn't docked? In recent years, the Takashi Hoshi family's behavior has become more and more contrary to the country's interests. I'm afraid that when the time comes, it will lead to inestimable consequences. Every innovation is accompanied by pain. The invention of the lock made many guards hate it to the core, and it also made the dog, a creature that evolved with humans, lose its value. If human society wants to progress and the country wants to develop, then we can only let those people who are dragging the country die. They don't want to change and adapt to the future, but want to stop the world from moving forward. This kind of people is destined to be destroyed. What if a civil war breaks out? Yu Ruoyun stopped and asked. Without absolute certainty, I don't think the country will make a move, right? Since the country has made a move, their resistance will be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. A civil war won't happen. There were many empty houses in the community. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun each took one as a temporary dormitory and slept for a night. The next day, they flew directly to the frontline command center. When they arrived at the command center, they felt that the atmosphere was a bit heavy. After knowing that Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun had arrived, Emotai hurried to invite them to the staff office. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's qualifications were not enough for them to participate in a decision that would affect the fate of the country. However, their strength was more than enough. The 2 rising stars had killed 3 beasts that were at least at the titled rank. There were no more than 100 people in the Jade State who could kill a beast like that on their own. You're here. That's great. Find a place to sit. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun tactfully went to a corner and sat down. Next to them was the director of the combat department, Long Ye. Director Long, what's going on? Send back the news you've received. The Vermilion Bird Company ended their mission early and rushed back. This morning, the Vermilion Bird Company sent out a scout team to scout for information. They are going to hold a battle meeting now. Soon, the door of the meeting room opened again. General Zhuoming, who had met Wang Lan a few times before, entered the meeting room with a few young men who were full of killing intent. Zhuoming glanced around the meeting room. His gaze lingered on Wang Lan for a second before moving away. Old Zhua, thank you for your hard work. You're welcome, Director Mo. It's our job. Zhuoming sat down and the 3 people he brought with him sat beside him. They just came back. They lost 2 of their brothers, so they're a bit emotional. Zhuoming smiled apologetically. The 3 of you, take it easy. The Vermilion Bird Company has been doing this for dinner. They haven't gotten used to it yet. Yes, sir. Tell everyone what's going on. We went all the way to the east and went through the fog. When we were 500 kilometers deep, we were alarmed by a huge battle and turned around to check it out. It was a vast area with complicated terrain. There were no small beasts in the area. There were only about 50 giant beasts. The largest of the beasts should be within 2,000 meters, and the smallest one should be more than 300 meters. Their forms were different, but their strength was similar. However, the strange thing was that these beasts seemed to be having a duel with each other. The small beasts outside the duel area were all observing the situation peacefully. There was no lack of Peak Star Sea Realm leader beasts among them. We monitored their duel rules and found that they were very organized and disciplined. Beasts aren't very intelligent, but we can't rule out the existence of beasts with high intelligence. At the very least, that group of giant beasts had very clear thinking and reactions. If our observations are correct, this group of beasts is choosing a leader through a duel. The defeated beasts didn't leave. It's very likely that they're planning to work together. Everyone knows that there are beasts beyond the Star Sea Realm in the explored space. However, those beasts are all hiding in the depths of the explored space. As we advance, those beasts will actively avoid us, unless we reach a point where we have no way to retreat. However, this group of giant beasts is obviously different. They're very aggressive. In the past, we speculated that it was because powerful beasts had invaded the territories of other beasts that caused the beast tide. However, from the Forgotten River Valley incident, it's very clear that this group of beasts is purposely ordering the low-level beasts to attack our line of defense. Chapter 405. Therefore, our conclusion is that these beasts have a clear goal, a unified ideology, and a high level of intelligence. Furthermore, they have a strong sense of aggression towards our defense line. I suggest that we get rid of them as soon as possible. Once they complete their unification and launch an attack, we may not be able to withstand it. After listening to the other party's explanation, all the big shots present gasped in unison. Over 50 beasts that were as strong as titled battle pet warriors were going to launch an attack against them with the help of countless beasts in this unexplored space? There were only over 100 titled battle pet warriors in the entire Jade State. Of course, this didn't mean that the beasts were as strong as the Jade State. The beasts were strong, but the titled battle pet warriors wouldn't be stupid enough to fight them head-on. Humans were small in size, but this wasn't a disadvantage. Under the same level of strength and combat strength, the smaller the size, the stronger the strength. For example, the Ant-Men. Then, let's get rid of them first. They have 50 beasts, and we need at least 20 peak-level warriors. Emotai hesitated. Me, Old Bao, and Old Chi will definitely go. Old Zhua should go too. That's 4 peak-level warriors. The Vermilion Bird Company cooperates well. The 50 of them can unleash the combat strength of 10 titled battle pet warriors. As for the peak-level Star Sea Realm warriors, we need at least 50 peak-level Star Sea Realm warriors. Do we have 50 peak-level Star Sea Realm warriors? Including the support from the other academies, we can gather 50 of them. But Mr. Mo, you can't join us. You need to stay in the command center. We can't put all our eggs in one basket without any leeway. That's right. Besides, we're fighting at the front line. Won't the beasts take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack? This is not unprecedented. If we kill the beasts from 1,000 miles away, there will be riots in other areas. Emotai thought for a while and finally sat down. All right. If there's a crisis at the front line, send me a message immediately. It will only take me 20 minutes to reach the battlefield with the Fleetfoot Step. After the direction of the battle was decided, the rest was to discuss the details. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun just listened. As the discussion progressed, a clear battle plan appeared on the paper. Report. Just as the discussion was coming to an end, there was a report from outside the General Staff Department. A messenger came to the door of the meeting room and shouted loudly. What's the matter? The results of the Academy of Sciences speculation are out. Emotai took the paper and read it seriously. A few minutes later, the paper was passed around and everyone in the meeting room had a copy. The result of the speculation is that an alternate space will open at a fixed point. The method of opening an alternate dimension was disorderly. Even if one used a space stone to open it, there was no way to guarantee what kind of alternate dimension would be opened. However, the situation in the East China Sea Wasteland Reclaimer's space was very special. From the frequency of the alien beast rampages, it could be inferred that there were more than 20 instances of spatial fusion. There was also the collected characteristics and sizes of the exotic beast. It was very likely that they came from the same alternate dimension. Based on this, it was likely that the same alternate dimension had undergone more than 20 conversions, and more than 20 conversions had sent over dozens of super beasts. There were two possibilities. One was that someone had opened up a directional space near the wasteland reclamation space, similar to a fixed space like the 9-story pagoda. After that, because the East Sea Wasteland Reclaimer's space was too big and the distance was too close, the space was forcefully absorbed by the Space Reclaimer's space, and the exotic beasts in the space were sent into the Reclaimer's space. The second possibility was that the targeted space was teleported outward. If that was the case, then there must be demons in this space. They used spatial teleportation technology to send powerful exotic beasts into the Space Reclaimer's space to fight for them. After reading the information, everyone fell into deep thought. It should be the second possibility, Zhuoming asked softly. It should be. If there was a directional space around the East Sea Wasteland Reclaimer's space, it would have been absorbed long ago. Also, who would dare to open an alternate dimension near the Wasteland Reclaimer's space? They wouldn't be able to hide the commotion. The demons almost came last time. It's clear that the demons' plan to invade the human world has already been activated. Compared to the past, the demons always brought a large number of exotic beasts with them. Although there was no precedent of testing before, it doesn't mean that the demons won't test it first. After all, our era is completely different from the past. Our technology and military strength are incomparable to 100 years ago. The demons are starting to take this seriously. But no matter what the reason is, this operation is imperative. Old Chi, go gather the Star Sea Realm Reclaimers. I want them to gather at the command center within an hour. Yes. Chi Hu, the titled battle pet warrior, turned around and left. Yu Ruoyun suddenly stood up and said, Chairman Mo, Wang Lan and I want to participate as well. You guys are bullshitting. However, Mo Tai suppressed the words in his throat and did not say them out loud. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun had worked together to kill 3 giant exotic beasts. Apart from the 3 titled experts present, no one else dared to say that they could achieve such a feat. If they didn't even use their combat strength, did they want the other peak Star Sea Realm Takashi Hoshi to sacrifice their lives? Logically speaking, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's participation was understandable. If not for their status as national treasures, Mo Tai would have forced them to participate. However, the battlefield was merciless, and Takashi Hoshi's skills had no eyes. If something happened to the two, Emotai would not be able to explain it to his superiors. Emotai was on the Azure Emperor's side, but he was only on the Azure Emperor's side. Swimming was on the Yen Emperor's side, and the other two titled experts were also on the Azure Emperor's side, Yen Emperor's side. The three of them had the same idea as Emotai. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun could not have any accident. They had to ensure that the two of them grew up completely. However, in the current situation, their participation was the best for the success of the operation. They wanted to refuse, but they couldn't bring themselves to say it. How could they refuse? What reason did they have to refuse? There were so many people watching. What would others think? Their lives were important, but ours weren't? Chairman Mo, although we don't dare to say that we are very strong, we can protect our own lives. Besides, I'm a medical Takashi Hoshi. My medical ability is not bad. With me joining, our chances of winning will be doubled. Wang Lan's words immediately made most people's eyes light up. With the lineup this time, it would be easy for them to conquer a medium-sized country. However, they were facing 50 giant exotic beasts, which were equivalent to a titled expert. Not to mention Long Ya, who was at the peak of the Star Sea realm. Even Chairman Mo and the others might die if they were not careful. Having a medical Takashi Hoshi was equivalent to having an extra layer of protection. If this medical Takashi Hoshi was more powerful, it would be equivalent to having a few more lives. None of them had seen Wang Lan's medical ability, but they had all heard of it. There was a saying in the circle of medical star warriors. It was said by the medical star warrior Han Jin. Among all the people he knew, no one's medical ability could be compared with Wang Lan's. The only one who can match Wang Lan is the Bishop of Light from the Nation of God. Mr. Han's words had unparalleled credibility. Since he had said so, everyone agreed. However, Wang Lan's medical ability was too dazzling, which made many people ignore Wang Lan's medical ability. Now that Mr. Han mentioned it, everyone was suddenly enlightened. Well, if that's the case, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun will also participate in the battle. However, you will be assisting, and you must not rush in recklessly. Yu Ruoyun, you are responsible for protecting Wang Lan's safety and creating conditions for your teammates to attack. Wang Lan, you only have one task, which is to treat the wounded. Understood. An hour later, the 50 experts at the peak of the Star Sea realm had gathered. Emotai personally filled the cups of wine for the over 100 warriors. This battle is going to be extremely dangerous. I should have gone with all of you. However, for the sake of the overall situation, I can only wait here for your good news. Here's a toast to farewell. I hope you will return triumphantly. We will win this battle. We will win. There was no impassioned declaration, nor was there any enthusiasm. After drinking a cup of wine, the 100 people all turned around and rushed out of the camp, disappearing into the end of the vast world. There was no sun and moon in the alternate space, so there was no day and night. However, the color of the sky did change from time to time. When the color of the sky turned dark, it was almost the same as dusk. This time, they had to pass through the primal chaos fog. The primal chaos fog was a greenish-gray area related to the space developed by humans. This kind of thing would not appear in small alternate spaces. Only in alternate spaces that were about the size of a city would it appear. How the primal chaos fog was created, and the principle behind it was still unclear. Since it separated the area developed and conquered by humans and the area ruled by beasts. More or less, it was related to the difference in the rules of human civilization and the rules of survival of beasts. The primal chaos fog was not the kind of fog where one could not see their fingers in front of them. From a distance, the fog was clear and mysterious. Entering the fog, one's vision would not be affected too much. After entering the primal chaos fog, they had to be careful. This was already beyond the territory of humans and the area ruled by beasts. Previously, the scouts of the Vermilion Bird Company had investigated, so there should not be any problems with the direction. After passing through the primal chaos fog, they had to travel another 500 kilometers to reach their destination. For this group of peak experts, this distance was only a little more than 2 hours. Rumbling sounds continuously came from the distance. Terrifying and desolate beast roars also sounded one after another. Just hearing this roar was enough to send chills down one's spine. Everyone, rest here for a while. Make sure to be in peak condition. After a while, slow down and approach the opponent. Wang Lan, do you have any requests? I only want soul beads. Mid-grade soul beads and above. The more, the better. This time, we brought more than 1,000 mid-grade soul beads and above. We won't forget about you. The Starwalker patted Wang Lan's shoulder and said with a smile. Although Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun were very strong, their realm was still there. Relying on their talent and Takashi Hoshi, they could barely surpass the peak of Star Sea Realm. However, their endurance was definitely not enough. If they did not have soul beads, they would basically be in one wave. After fighting, they would have to run. If they could not run, they would die. After resting for half an hour, the group carefully approached. When they were less than 10 kilometers away, suddenly, the chirping of beasts rang out. At the same time, countless beasts drilled out from the ground. They did not attack, but faced the sky and howled. Not good, they have already chosen their leader. The beast army has also been integrated. A Takashi Hoshi of the Vermilion Bird Company shouted. Then let's just kill our way over. Chapter 406. Boom. 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 Wang Lan stood rooted to the ground, dumbfounded. When had he ever encountered such a situation? He had just raised his hand, and before he could mobilize his astral power, the experts around him had already bombarded him. Wasn't Wang Lan always in the center? Wasn't he always the one who made the first contribution? But this time, he was just a child. The speed of these guys' attacks was so fast that it took a bachelor to train for so many years. Almost in the blink of an eye, a large number of exotic beasts in front of them died. The group instantly rushed out, still maintaining their full speed. In front of the densely packed exotic beasts, not to mention blocking the footsteps of Wang Lan and the others, they couldn't even slow down Wang Lan and the others. Even if there were many Star Sea Realm exotic beasts in front of them, it was useless. Among the 100 Takashi Hoshi, there wasn't even an early-stage Star Sea Realm. No, there were 2 low-level ninjas mixed in with a group of elite ninjas. But Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun were just there to accompany them, okay? As long as they didn't fall behind, they would be considered awesome. Boom! With a loud noise, the ground in the distance suddenly collapsed, and the charging footsteps suddenly stopped. The ground in front of them suddenly collapsed in a large area, and the collapse of the earth brought with it thick smoke. In the thick smoke, a desolate beast's roar suddenly sounded. A giant beast emerged from the collapsed ground and stood up. Wang Lan and the others under its foot were like grasshoppers. The giant beast suddenly raised its foot and stomped on the crowd. The Takashi Hoshi under its foot instantly scattered. With this stomp, the earth trembled violently, and even the sky shook slightly. Wang Lan's figure flashed out of the hell butterfly. Before he could see the situation clearly, he saw Zhuo Ming and the stargazers surrounding the giant beast in a triangular formation. Taya sword. Zhuo Ming raised his right hand, and a huge transparent sword soared into the sky. The sword was huge, at least 100 meters long. Comet fall. Tiger roar bursting flame fist. The 3 attacks instantly came crashing down. The mammoth-like exotic beast didn't even have time to roar out its opening speech before it was sent flying by the 3 attacks. Its huge body flew back for over 1,000 meters before landing on the ground, smashing the forest into pieces. Wind technique, autumn wind and falling leaves. The Vermilion Bird made her move the moment the 3 titled Battle Pet Warriors attacks landed. 50 Astral Sea Realm experts joined forces to perform the Super Takashi Hoshi skill. The vibrating fluctuations of astral energy made Wang Lan feel as if the astral energy had condensed into a river of water pouring down from the sky. Within the huge magic array, a violent wind blasted into the distance with wind blades that blotted out the sky. Wherever it went, the hills were flattened and the forests turned into sand. Just as the mammoth stood up, a gust of wind rushed up to the top. Wang Lan hurriedly opened his purple eyes of the void. Under the naked eye, the flesh and blood of the mammoth quickly dissipated as if evaporating. The autumn wind and the fallen leaves swept past. The skeleton of the mammoth, which was struggling for the last time, dissipated like flying ashes. The last two tusks that pointed to the sky unyieldingly told the mammoth that it had been here. The original appearance of the terrain had been completely changed. The holes had been filled up, and the dense forest in the distance had disappeared. The entire mountain range seemed to have been bitten off, forming a huge valley that was nearly 800 meters long. One couldn't see the end of it. Too powerful, Wang Lan's eyes widened in disbelief. He was well aware of how powerful the behemoth was. Previously, he and Yu Ruoyun had activated the sublimation form at the same time. Then, they connected their astral energy and reached the level of dragon and phoenix, bringing prosperity. Under such circumstances, it took 9 bulls and 2 tigers to defeat a behemoth. However, the behemoth in front of him didn't even last 30 seconds from the moment it appeared to the moment it was destroyed. First, it was knocked away by 3 titled battle pet warriors. Then, Red Sparrow Company and Takashi Hoshi killed it within seconds. Not even its ashes were left behind. Even though the behemoth had been successfully killed, no one was relaxed. Of course, it was easy for 100 of them to defeat one beast. But there were more than 50 behemoths like that. Roar, boom, the easy death of the mammoth seemed to have stimulated the behemoths in the depths of the forest. As the behemoths roared, more and more beasts appeared from every corner. Some were behind the mountains, some came from the depths of the earth, some flew over from the sky, and some came out from the lake. One giant beast was already enough to instill fear in people's hearts. The scene of 50 giant beasts appearing together could only be described as shocking. Even the legendary Vermilion Bird Company, which had experienced hundreds of battles, had a trace of daze at that moment. Fight in small groups. Kill if you can. If you can't, 9 of the behemoths will distract them. Brother Zhua, Brother Qi, we will clear them out. Okay. There were no probing attacks, no feints. Almost instantly, the beast's bombardment came from all directions. At this moment, Wang Lan could finally experience how the beasts in front of them felt when they were killed along the way. A single MMP was enough to express 1,000 words. All kinds of elemental balls the size of houses flew in the sky. It wasn't that you would be fine if you weren't hit, but even if you weren't hit, the aftermath of the explosion could still cripple you. Almost instantly, casualties appeared. Ruoyun, activate your big, Wang Lan hurriedly roared. Instantly, he activated his phoenix form. If he didn't activate his phoenix form, Wang Lan wouldn't even be able to deal with the beast's bombardment. Wang Lan's strength in his normal state was at the middle or late stage of the Star Sea realm. The phoenix form's enhancement was no longer a rebirth, but it could still raise Wang Lan to the Star Sea realm. Coupled with his speed advantage, he instantly swept past a few seriously injured people and moved them to a relatively safe place. Light of Life activated and life chains connected. In a dozen or so breaths' time, the 10 most seriously injured people were revived with full health. After that, Wang Lan continued to rescue the injured. The Takashi Hoshi, who could still fight, launched their attacks to block the beast's bombardment. In this kind of chaotic battle, Wang Lan's underworld butterfly dance was unleashed to its limit. When the attacks landed, they immediately turned into underworld butterflies and dissipated. As long as one underworld butterfly appeared in a safe place, Wang Lan could flash out. However, no matter how hard Wang Lan tried to save the injured, there were still a few companions who couldn't return to their families. No matter how seriously injured they were, Wang Lan could save them. However, Wang Lan couldn't save those who had crossed the line of death. On the battlefield, it had always been a back-and-forth exchange of blows. There was no reason why the beasts couldn't launch a wave of terrifying attacks just because the humans killed a beast in one wave. The collective attack of more than 50 giant beasts left the humans dumbfounded. If it weren't for the fact that the 3 titled battle pet warriors worked together to block half of the attacks, it would be a miracle if 50 out of 100 people could survive. The beasts didn't seem to be moving fast. However, from their positioning, it was clear that they could have saved the mammoth, but in the end, they let the mammoth be killed in one wave. They just wanted to buy some time for the humans to successfully set up the bombardment circle. Under the indiscriminate bombardment, the beasts could only rely on their own abilities to dodge or block. Hiding in a corner and hoping to dodge one round of bombardment was definitely courting death. After the bombardment ended, everything within a 5-kilometer radius had been razed to the ground. Looking at the scorched ground, the beasts actually put on human-like smiles. Roar, roar, boom! All of a sudden, a beam of light hit the head of one of the beasts. That beast's head buzzed. The other beasts looked up. 5 people had appeared out of nowhere and were in a joint attack posture. Only 5 people? Don't worry, these 5 people will soon. Suddenly, a blinding white light flashed past. A strong sense of danger rose in their hearts. The beasts that were enveloped by the danger jumped away to dodge, or used their innate skills to block it. Chi with a piercing sound, Swimming and Chihu turned into streaks of light and passed by one of the beasts. Green blood suddenly spurted out of the beast's body. Its body split into 4 parts, and slowly collapsed like a toppled mountain. Human Takashi Hoshi appeared one after another, attacking the beasts from every corner. Although humans were very small in size in front of them, a peak Astral Sea Realm's attack was already very heavy for them, especially an attack from a titled battle pet warrior. If they reacted a little slower, they might be killed. Continuous large-scale attacks suddenly exploded, and the beasts also scattered to dodge. The Takashi Hoshi chased after them, and dazzling Takashi Hoshi skills bloomed like fireworks in the starry sky. Although the power of these Takashi Hoshi skills could only hurt the beasts, it was not enough to cause them any harm. After a round of bombardment, the beasts had already separated as much as possible, and the 2 closest beasts were at least 500 meters away. The beasts that came back to their senses were dumbfounded. The number of humans in front of them didn't seem to have decreased by much. What the F***CK? We've been bombarding for half a day, and we haven't even cleared half of them? Are the human Takashi Hoshi this time so strong? Great. Attention, all teams, execute Plan B. Roger. Intense battles instantly broke out on all sides. The beasts had their advantages. Their astral power was boundless, their attack range was terrifying, their skin was thick, and they could both attack and defend. On the other hand, the human Takashi Hoshi had high damage output, small targets, and high agility. At the beginning of the battle, they were almost evenly matched. A team of 5 Astral Sea Realm Takashi Hoshi could barely fight a beast to a draw. However, there were 50 beasts but not 50 Takashi Hoshi teams. Originally, Zhuaming and the others could deal with 1 beast each, but it was very difficult to deal with 2. At this moment, Zhuaming and the others were holding back 7 beasts at the same time. It seemed like the battle was in a stalemate, but in reality, Wang Lan's side was at an absolute disadvantage. As the battle continued, this disadvantage would only increase. Moreover, the beasts had never given up on trying to get closer. Once they gathered together, they would be like an army of thousands of men and horses, with vast heavenly might. Ruoyun, don't worry about me, go help! Wang Lan suddenly shouted, clasping his hands together. Devil's Snare Flower. Not only was the Devil's Snare Flower an offensive Takashi Hoshi skill, but it was also a defensive Takashi Hoshi skill. Wang Lan believed that Yu Ruoyun would be able to understand Wang Lan's plan. Brothers who are injured, throw them over, Wang Lan roared. As soon as he finished speaking, a vermilion bird hurriedly threw a heavily injured brother over. Fresh blood flew in the air, landing on top of the devil's snare flower in the blink of an eye. The vines of the devil's snare flower instantly stretched out, wrapping around the victim and sending him to Wang Lan, connecting him with the life chain. Chapter 407. This time, Wang Lan positioned himself as a pure Takashi Hoshi healer. Wang Lan also had powerful strength, and Wang Lan could instantly kill a giant beast if he used a star god arrow with all his strength. However, compared to the effect of his healing ability on the battlefield, no matter how powerful the Takashi Hoshi skill was, it could not be compared. Wang Lan's Datura flower area was like the teleportation door of the path of reincarnation. The severely injured Star Sea Realm warriors were thrown in one by one, and then they were revived and returned to the battlefield one by one. This kind of continuous consumption made it possible for Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi healers to fight a protracted battle. Normally, even if the Takashi Hoshi healers had the strength of Wang Lan, they would not be able to fight a protracted battle under such circumstances. Sure enough, I'm still a Takashi Hoshi healer in the end. I have to admit it even if I don't want to, Wang Lan said pretentiously after healing Dragon Tooth, who had half of his body broken. Come on, you're a Takashi Hoshi healer. Why don't you admit it? Stay here and don't move. Don't be impatient and join the battle. I'm going. Dragon Tooth turned into a dragon and rushed out of the Datura flower toward the giant beast. Wang Lan pulled out a chain of life and connected it to the warrior who had just been sent in front of him. If Wang Lan had not upgraded his Light of Life to Platinum 5, he would not have been able to cope with such a big scene. Wang Lan was confident that his Takashi Hoshi skill was already the best in the world. It could be seen that on a real battlefield, the role of a Takashi Hoshi healer was very important. As a Takashi Hoshi healer, they did not need to kill the enemy or be responsible for the battle. Their battle was to pull their comrades back from the brink of death. Watching his comrades die one by one without being able to do anything was probably the cruelest thing for Takashi Hoshi as a medic. Fortunately, so far, as long as they were still alive and brought to Wang Lan, they were all alive and well. Roar. With Yu Ruoyun's assistance, a strange beast's chest was shattered by the Starwalker's absolute kill. Then, Strange Tiger transformed into Amber Slash and killed it in one move. It was the first time a giant beast had been killed in a direct confrontation since the chaotic battle began. With one less giant beast, Takashi Hoshi's side would have a greater chance of victory. From the start of the battle, Takashi Hoshi's side was already in a disadvantageous position. In particular, not only had the giant beasts completed their unification, they had lost the opportunity to kill them in batches. Moreover, they had also intelligently fought a group battle. It was a strategic mistake to use traditional thinking to judge these beasts. If Wang Lan was not there, they would have lost this battle. Besides, apart from the three titled experts, everyone else might have died. This battle would have ended with both sides suffering losses. However, as long as there were more than 5 giant beasts, the East Sea's reclamation space would be in danger. In other words, it was Wang Lan's medic Takashi Hoshi's skill that had stabilized this disadvantage. Now it was even turning the tables bit by bit. Squeak, squeak, squeak. In the distance, an upright beetle-type beast suddenly squeaked. 3 giant beasts suddenly opened up their power at the same time, breaking away from the 3 Takashi Hoshi teams that were harassing them. Then, the 3 giant beasts turned around abruptly. 2 terrifying energy cannons were aimed at Wang Lan and instantly bombarded him. Watch out! Yu Ruoyun screamed. Her figure flashed to Wang Lan's side, and her astral power instantly connected with Wang Lan's. Underworld Domino. Wang Lan was controlling the devil's snare flower, so he could only let Yu Ruoyun use the underworld domino. When Wang Lan reminded her, Yu Ruoyun already understood what Wang Lan meant. Yu Ruoyun pressed her palm on the ground. Ice Purgatory. Boom, boom, boom. Continuous ice walls rose around the devil's snare flower. The structure of the ice walls was exactly the same as the gates of the underworld. This was Yu Ruoyun's Takashi Hoshi skill that combined the ice crystal shield and the underworld domino. Boom, boom, boom. 3 attacks instantly bombarded the ice walls. The first layer, the second layer, the third layer. The ice walls were shattered all the way to the 7th layer before the 3 attacks were neutralized by the ice purgatory. Wang Lan remembered that the last time he used the underworld domino to block an energy bomb, he had used up dozens of gates of the underworld. He didn't expect the combination of ice and gates of the underworld to increase the defense by so much. When the giant beast's attack failed, they rushed toward Wang Lan and Zhuiyun. This time, they hit Takashi Hoshi's weak spot. Whether it was Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's identity, or Wang Lan's role as a powerful medical Takashi Hoshi, they were all existences that the Takashi Hoshi had to protect with all their might. The intelligence of the Ultra Beasts was indeed their biggest weakness. The Ultra Beasts only realized after fighting for so long that the Takashi Hoshi kept increasing in number. How did the injured ones return to the battlefield so quickly? If it were a Takashi Hoshi, they didn't need to know that the first to attack would be the enemy's support. Team 589, stop them, Starwalker hurriedly roared. Don't, Wang Lan suddenly shouted. Ruoyun and I can hold on against 3 Ultra Beasts. This is a godsend opportunity. Let's take this opportunity to turn the tables. Wang Lan's words made the 3 teams pause. In the distance, Starwalker and Zhuiming looked at each other for a moment and nodded in unison. Hold on, brothers. Counterattack, kill, boom! The giant beasts charged straight into the devil's snare flower formation. In an instant, the nest-like devil's snare flower shook violently. Countless vines were crushed by the giant beasts, and countless more vines rose again under the control of Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun. As for Wang Lan, other than controlling the devil's snare flower, he also had to save people. The huge amount of astral power that Wang Lan didn't stop the Nightmare Soul Pearl for even a moment. Bloom, devil's snare flower. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun put their palms together. In an instant, the sea of flowers bloomed, and pollen covered the entire space like a thick fog. The Ultra Beast's resistance to Takashi Hoshi's poison was much stronger than that of Takashi Hoshi, especially for such a huge beast. However, no matter how high its resistance was, or how big its body was, it couldn't withstand such a dense amount of Takashi Hoshi's poison. Soon, the 3 Ultra Beasts were pulled into a dreamlike illusion. Although they didn't know what kind of dream the 3 Ultra Beasts were having, it was definitely a good one. Wang Lan was overjoyed. He controlled the devil's snare flower to quickly wrap around the 3 Ultra Beasts. With these 3 Ultra Beasts providing astral power, Wang Lan didn't need any extra astral power to maintain the devil's snare flower. After swallowing the 3 Ultra Beasts in the sphere, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun both sighed in relief. With these 3 power banks, I'm safe. Ruoyun, go help. Okay. Yu Ruoyun instantly turned into a colorful butterfly and appeared at the back of an Ultra Beast's head in the blink of an eye. Originally, the Ultra Beast was blocking Zhuiming's attack. Yu Ruoyun's appearance caught it off guard. By the time it reacted, Yu Ruoyun's attack had already reached it. Boom! A white light shot into the Ultra Beast's eye. This was Wang Lan's extreme heat ray. After connecting the astral powers, Yu Ruoyun could also use Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi technique. It wasn't that Yu Ruoyun didn't have a good Takashi Hoshi technique, but her combat style was fundamentally different from Wang Lan's. She didn't know if Wang Lan had a phobia of insufficient damage output. Other than the terrifying Astral God Arrow, the single-target damage of Extreme Heat Ray was also far greater than most S-Class Takashi Hoshi technique. The Extreme Heat Ray was aimed at the Ultra Beast's eye. This was something Yu Ruoyun learned from Wang Lan. Compared to Wang Lan's previous attack in his normal state, Yu Ruoyun's attack was sublimated in her Dragon Emperor form this time. Its power was several times stronger. let alone shattering one of the exotic beast's eyeballs. Even half of its face was burnt to a crisp. How could Zhuoming miss such a good opportunity? His Taiya sword turned into a sky and slashed down from the sky, instantly killing the Ultra Beast on the spot. Within a short minute, 5 Ultra Beasts were eliminated. Not only did this greatly boost the morale of the Takashi Hoshi's side, but it also instantly reduced the pressure on everyone. Taking advantage of this momentum, the Takashi Hoshi's teams once again launched a coordinated attack. Boom boom boom. Heavily injured Takashi Hoshi were constantly sent over, and Takashi Hoshi were constantly returning to the battlefield. After half an hour, only 20 Ultra Beasts were left out of the original 50. On Wang Lan's side, other than the 10 Takashi Hoshi who were killed on the spot and couldn't be treated in time, their combat strength was still at its initial state. With only half of the Ultra Beasts left, the Takashi Hoshi's combat strength didn't decrease by much. The dawn of victory was right in front of them. However, at this moment, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's sublimation seemed to be reaching its limit. They could clearly feel that Yu Ruoyun's every attack was becoming more and more strenuous. On the other hand, Wang Lan's skill points in the system were quickly depleting. There were less than 20,000 skill points left. 10 per second, he could only hold on for another 10 minutes at most. Zhi. Suddenly, a shrill cry rang out. The beetle-shaped Ultra Beast suddenly emitted a 5-colored glow, and its body shrunk rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it was less than 10 meters tall. It can't maintain its gigantified form anymore? A Peak Star Sea Realm warrior cried out in joy. No, its astral force has skyrocketed. Be careful, the person beside him hurriedly reminded him. As soon as he said that, the shrunken Ultra Beast suddenly disappeared. However, in an instant, the surprised Takashi Hoshi felt a gust of wind blow past him. Then, he watched as half of his body disappeared. So fast, the beetle-shaped Ultra Beast seemed to be taking a stroll in the void. Its entire body was emitting a glazed amber glow, flickering in the air like a ghost. In almost an instant, 5 Peak Star Sea Realm Takashi Hoshi were killed on the spot by the evolved beetle. Damn it! Zhuoming and Starwalker shouted at the same time. They instantly charged at the beetle-shaped Ultra Beast, intending to stop its slaughter. However, the beetle-shaped Ultra Beast was too fast. Even with Starwalker's unparalleled speed, he was unable to catch up. The beetle-shaped Ultra Beast easily dodged the two's joint attack, and instantly killed another 3-star Sea Realm expert. If they didn't think of a way to subdue this Ultra Beast, the Star Sea Realm experts on Takashi Hoshi's side would be slaughtered by it alone. Ruoyun, be careful, Wang Lan suddenly shouted. The beetle-shaped Ultra Beast's figure instantly turned into an afterimage, appearing beside Yu Ruoyun at almost the same time. Boom! A streak of colorful light swept past Yu Ruoyun's body, and her body exploded on the spot. Just as everyone's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, the nether butterfly fluttered. Yu Ruoyun had activated the nether butterfly's dance in the nick of time. Bastard! Chihu, who was scared out of his wits, furiously chased after the beetle-shaped Ultra Beast. However, the beetle-shaped Ultra Beast's speed wasn't on the same level as everyone present, and it easily dodged the attack. You can't catch it! Zhuoming shouted anxiously. Void purple eyes, open, Wang Lan's voice was like the voice of the heavens exploding from beyond the 9 heavens. His eyes shot out purple light. Chapter 408. In the purple eye of the void, the beetle wasn't traveling through space. Instead, it was jumping back and forth. However, it seemed to be a process of accumulating energy while jumping. When the accumulation was complete, the beetle would be able to kill its target at a speed 10 times faster than the speed of sound. As long as it wasn't a space jump, Wang Lan had a way to lock onto it. The purple eye of the void shone brightly. The gorgeous purple light seemed to have permeated the space within 10 meters. In the purple eye's vision, the beetle was getting slower and slower. Even the flapping of the 6 wings on its back was visible to Wang Lan. Astral God Arrow. Lock on. In an instant, Wang Lan's astral power gushed out. Ruoyun, here I come. The moment she said that, Yu Ruoyun had already appeared next to Wang Lan. Her astral power merged with Wang Lan's. This was a beast that could only kill a peak star C-state warrior instantly. Even 3 titled battle pet warriors couldn't do anything to it. Wang Lan wasn't confident that he could kill it on his own. As their astral powers merged, an anomaly appeared in the sky. The cries of dragons, phoenixes, and cranes fell from the sky. A huge magic formation appeared in front of them. A divine bow and a divine arrow. They were engraved with heavenly law patterns. The beetle seemed to be extremely uneasy the moment it appeared. It flapped its wings and quickly changed its position. However, since it had been locked onto by the purple eye of the void, all its struggles were destined to be in vain. With a whoosh, the astral god arrow was shot out. The moment the arrow was shot, the Grim Reaper's scythe would fall. Boom! With a loud noise, the beetle moved dozens of kilometers away in an instant. Although it was fast, the astral god arrow wasn't slow either. The beetle jumped to the end of its limit. The moment it accumulated energy again, the astral god arrow hit it and blew it up on the spot. Cross-level kill. Reward: 100,000 experience points, 8,000 skill points. At this moment the world was so quiet. Be it the giant beasts or the Takashi Hoshi, everyone seemed to have forgotten that they were fighting as they stared blankly at the terrifying explosion in the distance. Such a powerful exotic beast, a powerful existence that could slaughter 10 peak astral sea realm experts in the blink of an eye, something that even 3 titled experts working together couldn't do anything about, was instantly killed by Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun with a single arrow? No one doubted that even a titled battle pet warrior would have been killed by Wang Lan's arrow in an instant. What are you waiting for? Zhuoming roared and attacked instantly. The 2 beasts that were still in a daze didn't even have time to react before they were killed instantly. Taking advantage of this high morale, Takashi Hoshi instantly went all out, and the giant beasts suffered heavy casualties. In an instant, the scales of victory tilted heavily towards Takashi Hoshi's side. And because they had shot out a starry sky god arrow, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun were in an extremely weak state. Yu Ruoyun's body tilted, and she immediately collapsed on Wang Lan's back. How is Yu Ruoyun? Zhuoming asked anxiously. I'm fine, just exhausted. Not only Yu Ruoyun, but Wang Lan was also exhausted at this moment. But was the reality so real? Some people cared about the exhausted Yu Ruoyun, but why didn't anyone care about the equally exhausted Wang Lan? He hurriedly activated the Yang seal and quickly recovered his astral power. But even if he could recover his astral power, the double exhaustion of his body and mind couldn't be healed. At this moment, Wang Lan was in a very bad state. Even a Takashi Hoshi from Nebula could easily take Wang Lan's life. If not for the fact that the Devil's Snare flower no longer required Wang Lan's astral power, it wouldn't have lasted. Wang Lan supported Yu Ruoyun as they squatted in a corner. Fortunately, they had absolute control over the battle. One by one, the giant beasts were successfully killed, and the Takashi Hoshi's injuries were reduced to a freezing point. Combination technique, 5 elements annihilation. There was a loud roar. Suddenly, the 3 vermilion bird teams gathered together and stood in a pyramid formation in the air. Along with the roar, a huge magic array gathered in the air. In an instant, the powerful Takashi Hoshi technique of 5 elements was completed in the magic array. A terrifying purple beam of light broke through the magic array and attacked the 3 giant beasts in front of them. The giant beasts roared and used their innate abilities in an attempt to block the earth-shattering attack. In an instant, the beam of light hit the first giant beast. The giant beast didn't even have time to roar before its upper body melted and disappeared. The beam of light didn't slow down and hit the second giant beast. The second giant beast resisted for 2 seconds before it exploded on the spot. The beam of light changed direction and swept towards the third giant beast. The third giant beast hurriedly rushed into the air and tried to escape, but its clumsy movements were no match for the speed of the purple beam of light. It was killed on the spot after just 100 meters. Wang Lan's eyes lit up when he saw this Takashi Hoshi technique. The Takashi Hoshi combination technique had killed 3 giant beasts in a row. If it were him, he would probably have to use the spatial phoenix teleportation technique to survive. After this wave of counterattack, another 10 giant beasts were killed. There were less than 10 giant beasts that could still struggle. At this moment, these 10 giant beasts were also covered in blood and looked miserable. Victory was no longer the dawn. It was right in front of them. Rumble! Suddenly, the whole world trembled violently. Just as everyone was preparing to finish off the last few giant beasts in one go, a terrifying aura rose from the ground. Along with the collapse of heaven and earth, a giant beast close to 500 meters tall slowly emerged from the ground. If the centipede giant beast that Wang Lan saw earlier was 1,000 meters long, that was because the centipede giant beast was an insect-type giant beast. Even if it was 1,500 meters long, it didn't look that big. However, the giant beast before them was a giant half-human half-beast. All the giant beasts before were like little brothers in front of this giant beast. The appearance of this giant beast instantly shattered the morale of the Takashi Hoshi. What kind of powerful being was this giant beast? Oh no, it's the giant abyss beast! Zhuo Ming immediately cried out. Quick, send a message to President Mo. Ask him to come as soon as possible. Even if Wang Lan had never seen a giant beast that could make Zhuo Ming lose his composure, he knew that it was an unimaginable existence. The giant abyss beast was a name that Wang Lan had never heard of before. I'll send a message! Wang Lan instantly roared. When it came to sending messages, no one could be faster than him with his space-time ability. The moment he finished speaking, Wang Lan disappeared with Yu Ruoyun on his back. At this moment, the East Sea Reclamation Space was not calm. The terrifying battle in the depths of the East Sea Reclamation Space was like a nuclear bomb that shocked the entire East Sea Reclamation Space. Exotic beasts were ferocious, but they were just wild beasts after all. Their instinctive fear gave birth to an instinctive panic. With a riot, the entire East Sea Reclamation Space instantly fell into a collective state of chaos. Fortunately, this beast tide was not controlled by a mastermind. Attacks between exotic beast tribes were the mainstream. Only about 1% of the beasts actually affected the East Sea Reclamation's defensive line. President Mo, a large number of exotic beasts have appeared in the northeast. The East Sea Reclamation has already started fighting with them. What types of exotic beasts are they? Hard-armored exotic beasts. They mainly attack with Earth-type attack. Send the Flash Thunder Regiment to support them. President Mo, a large number of flying exotic beasts have appeared at the Wind Valley's defensive line. Send the Star Walker's subordinate army. President Mo, the liaisons rushed into the command room one after another to inform the East Sea Reclamation Space about the major changes at the front line. If it was not a very serious emergency, the East Sea Reclamation Space could handle it on their own. Mo Tai gave out orders one by one in an orderly manner. Compared to the changes at the various checkpoints in the East Sea Reclamation Space, Mo Tai was more worried about the battle at the front line. 50 gigantic exotic beasts. The forces they sent this time were very weak. However, they had no choice. This was the only force they could bring out. Unless they asked the 5 emperors for help. Emperor Bai, Emperor Xian, Emperor Ming, and Yan Emperor were all in unknown places. Even if they asked for instructions from the higher-ups, they might not agree to send them. The Qing Emperor seemed to have returned after finishing his work. However, he seemed to be in a mess in his family. Thinking of this, Mo Tai could not help but sigh. The Yu family was really troublesome. It had been 200 years since the dynasty ended. Why did they not know when to advance or retreat? Looking at the entire world, which of the 7 strongest countries was still an empire with imperial power? The centralized monarchy had already been eliminated, yet they still wanted to restore it. Restore your ass. Was it fun to reverse the wheel of history? Everyone thought that the Qing emperor was the representative of the royal family and that his words carried weight in the Takashi Hoshi clan. However, no one knew that the Qing emperor and the Yu family were not related by blood. He was the adopted son of the previous generation of the Yu family. Yu Ruoyun's father was the direct descendant of the royal family. Otherwise, how could the Qing emperor not be the head of the Yu family? Because of this identity, the Yu family was just a banner in the hands of the Takashi Hoshi clan. A banner could not have its own thoughts. The Qing emperor could draw a clear line with them and leave. However, without the Qing emperor as a cover, the Takashi Hoshi clan might cause trouble without any scruples. Even if the Jade State's strength was rising day by day, the overall situation was still stable. Once it fell into chaos, it would be doomed eternally. Suddenly, a spatial fluctuation appeared. In an instant, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun appeared in the command center. Wang Lan had left the space-time coordinates here before he went on the expedition. This was to ensure that he could escape in case of an emergency. As soon as he appeared, Wang Lan froze. At least a dozen murderous intents were fixed on him. It's a misunderstanding. Allies. Allies! Wang Lan subconsciously shouted. When they saw that it was Wang Lan, the surrounding attacks had already moved away. Wang Lan? You're back? What's going on? How's the situation at the front line? It was going well at first. However, a huge beast appeared in the end. General Zhuo Ming called it the Abyss Beast. Abyss? Mo Tai's expression changed instantly. Abyss. There's actually another abyss. Quick, ask the Qing Emperor to help. As he spoke, he took a step forward and was about to rush out of the camp. Boss Missouri, let me send you there. I can teleport. Okay. Mo Tai did not hesitate and came to Wang Lan's side instantly. Wang Lan grabbed Mo Tai's arm, and his figure flashed and disappeared. Boom, boom, boom. Their vision changed instantly. As soon as it became clear, they heard a terrifying explosion. Zhuo Ming and the other 2 were attacking the beast with all their might. The powerful attacks of the titled experts were like tickles to the Abyss Beast. Tickles might be an exaggeration, but it was only a little painful at most. The other Star Sea Realm experts were attacking the remaining 2 beasts with all their might. The moment Wang Lan arrived, the last 2 beasts were also beaten to death by the Star Sea Realm experts. Zhuo Ming, Old Bao, Old Qi, I, Mo Tai, am here, a loud shout was heard. God of Titans! Mo Tai's body suddenly expanded. With every step, his body seemed to be able to expand by 10 meters. After 10 steps, he had turned into a stone man as tall as a mountain. Boom! A punch landed on the Abyss Beast's lower abdomen. A violent wave of air swept out. Smoke rose everywhere, and the wind was like a dragon. Mo Tai looked up in shock. The Abyss Beast was also looking down at him, as if it was staring into the abyss. Chapter 409. A fist the size of a mountain fell from the sky. With a boom, Mo Tai was smashed deep into the ground. The Titan mountain god form that had once killed everything in its path had now appeared in such a hilarious way. The Abyss Beast lifted its foot and stomped on Mo Tai again. Motherf *******. Mo Tai spat on the ground. Gravity field, boom, smoke rose and the earth trembled. The soil around him slowly rose into the air, as if gravity had been lifted. Mo Tai stood up again, still in the form of a stone man. Boom! The Abyss Beast stomped down again. This time, Mo Tai supported himself with both hands. He didn't look as miserable as before. Go to hell! The ground under his feet cracked. Mo Tai pushed the Abyss Beast with all his might. The Abyss Beast was flipped over by Mo Tai. Fight! Taya sword. Starlight sparkle, Flame Dragon Tiger Fist. While the Abyss Beast was flipped over, the 4 titled Battle Pet Warriors worked together to beat the Abyss Beast. As for the Star Sea Realm Warriors, those who were capable of long-range attacks could throw out a shuriken from 800 miles away. Those who weren't capable of long-range attacks could only watch from the sidelines. Wang Lan supported his exhausted body and healed several severely wounded warriors. Wang Lan didn't fight head-on in this battle, but his contributions on the battlefield were unparalleled. Almost all the warriors who were still alive had been treated by Wang Lan. The close combat warriors had even been treated 6 or 7 times. Although no one said anything emotional, their gratitude towards Wang Lan was etched in their hearts. This would be a treasure that Wang Lan would enjoy for the rest of his life. There were more than 2 million Takashi Hoshi in the Jade State. 1 million of them were students and 600,000 were in the Takashi Hoshi army. However, less than 10,000 of them were at the Star Sea Realm. Of the 10,000 Takashi Hoshi warriors, only a little more than 1,000 were at the peak of the Star Sea Realm. More than 1,000 people were scattered across the entire Jade State. How rare was that? The less than 100 peak Astral Sea Realm experts in front of him were already 1/10 of the Jade State's top fighting force. In the past, although Wang Lan had the reputation of being the son of the Yen Emperor, it was still because of his mother's influence. Even though Yendi's people had high expectations for Wang Lan, they didn't really approve of Wang Lan. Who would be able to accept the sudden appearance of the son of Yen Emperor? If Di Lao hadn't said it himself, some people would have rolled up their sleeves and tortured this guy who dared to blaspheme Yen Emperor. Everyone knew that Yen Emperor had never married, so how could he have a son? Moreover, he was her biological son? In any case, both Di Lao and Wang Qi had claimed that Wang Lan was Wang Ling's biological son. Even if Yendi's people couldn't figure it out, they could only think so. With the rapid rise of Wang Lan, his existence was gradually accepted. If he wasn't Yen Emperor's biological son, how could he be so abnormal? Now, if someone said that he wasn't Yen Emperor's biological son, no one would believe it. However, acknowledging your existence didn't mean that they approved of you. Why would they go through fire and water for you if they didn't eat your rice or receive your favor? Yen Emperor only needed to say a word, and many people would stand up and die for him. However, Wang Lan, not. Last time, when Wang Lan and the Duanmu clan fought to the death, Yen Emperor's people were at most long-range support. However, no one jumped out and said that they were under his protection. If they dared to touch him, they would kill them. As long as the Duanmu clan didn't make a move against Wang Lan, they would watch coldly from the sidelines. When Duanmu Yi was killed by Wang Lan, Zhou Ming, who was worried that the Duanmu clan would act out of desperation, represented Yen Emperor's people and went to the Duanmu clan. At that time, Wang Lan was able to win because of the Heavenly Sword Bureau and his outstanding contributions to the Jade State. Without the support of the state, how could he lead the public opinion and force the Duanmu clan to the point that they couldn't fight back? Dream on. However, Wang Lan was different now. The next time Wang Lan encountered the Takashi Hoshi clan, even if it was a top-notch Takashi Hoshi clan, Wang Lan didn't even need to say anything. This group of people would immediately rush over to take action after receiving the news. How could a life-saving favor be taken lightly? After sending off the last person, Wang Lan leaned against a devil's snare flower and rested for a while. A strong sense of drowsiness came over him, but Wang Lan didn't dare to sleep. The devil's snare flower forest was quickly collapsing. After losing Wang Lan's control for so long, it couldn't be maintained with just the star power provided by the 3 Ultra Beasts. Forcing himself to stay awake, Wang Lan put his palms together. Limitless explosion burial. Boom, boom, boom. 3 sounds that sounded like eggs being crushed rang out. The 3 huge vine eggs quickly collapsed and deformed. Over-level kill, reward. 60,000 experience points, 3,000 skill points. Over-level kill, reward. 60,000 experience points, 3,000 skill points. Overlevel kill, reward. 60,000 experience points, 3,000 skill points. 3 pleasant voices rang out in his mind. Wang Lan smiled bitterly as he swayed slightly. Phoenix form and star god arrow. The double exhaustion caused him to faint directly last time. This time, he should have fainted as well. However, Wang Lan relied on his unimaginable willpower to hold on. Wang Lan, how are you? A voice rang out. A vermilion bird soldier in a tattered military uniform appeared beside Wang Lan out of nowhere and handed him an energy bar. Wang Lan smiled and shook his head. He was tired, not hungry. Although the soldier's uniform was tattered, his aura was still so sharp. Some people, even if they were wearing beggar's clothes, still had the aura of an emperor just by standing there. Although the one in front of him didn't have the aura of an emperor, he still had a heroic aura. However, there was a sense of familiarity between his eyebrows, as if he was very similar to someone in his memory. I'm fine, just a little tired. I think you look like someone, Wang Lan said casually. Gong Jian? Yes, that's him. He's my uncle. Your uncle? He's so old? I thought he was still young. The other party wasn't as talkative as Wang Lan had guessed. He sat down beside Wang Lan and started chatting. My uncle is only 32 years old this year. He's not that old. Gusts of wind blew in the distance. The 4 titled experts were already locked in a fierce battle with the giant abyss beast. The reason Jiang Xian stayed behind was to protect Wang Lan's safety. Wang Lan had been roaming the world for a year and a half, but he had never been a burden. In the end, he still couldn't escape from this shameful debt. Suddenly, Wang Lan trembled. He quickly sank into his spiritual sea and opened the system. It turned out that the 5 million experience points needed to upgrade Star River 5 had been filled up without him knowing. When Jiang Xian saw Wang Lan, he trembled and quickly stood up, vigilantly sensing the wind and grass around him. If Wang Lan lived, he would live. If Wang Lan died, he would die. This was what his brothers had solemnly told him when they handed Wang Lan's safety to him. But Jiang Xian understood that even if he died, Wang Lan couldn't be harmed in the slightest. No enemy, Jiang Xian murmured. But in an instant, he sensed a clear fluctuation of astral power. Who is it? Jiang Xian turned around abruptly. When he saw the source of the fluctuation of astral power, he was dumbfounded. The fluctuation of astral power was like the beating of a heart. It was very rhythmic. But at the moment, Jiang Xian felt as if 10,000 horses were galloping across his heart. Wang Lan's astral power fluctuation was rhythmic, but Jiang Xian's heart was also rhythmic. What was Wang Lan's situation? Did he need to think about it? He had overdrawn his astral power like a medicine dregs that had been squeezed dry. They all knew how hard Wang Lan had fought this battle. Who didn't know how much effort he had put in? Just now, Wang Lan said that he wanted to take a rest because he was exhausted. Now you've broken through? You're a genius, you're a monster, but can't you be a human? You're making me, a 25-year-old at the peak of the Star Sea state, feel very unaccomplished. Do you need this kind of talent to break through to the level of 5 emperors? Then, do I still have a chance? The thoughts in his mind were in a mess. Jiang Xian didn't know what to think anymore. He only knew that everything in front of him had completely overturned his worldview. At this moment, Wang Lan leaned against the vines and stretched lazily, as if he had just woken up. It was another morning full of vitality. Cool! Wang Lan shouted loudly and stood up with a whoosh. You're cool? Of course you're cool. You can still break through in this state. What's not cool about it? But Wang Lan said he was cool because the breakthrough cleared all the negative effects of his overdraft. This was also one of the magical effects of the system. If it was someone else breaking through, they would basically use up all their physical strength. Breaking through was as difficult as shedding a shrimp or a crab. How could there be someone like Wang Lan, who leveled up and revived with full health. Brother Jiang, I've recovered now. Let's go and help. Looking at Wang Lan's energetic declaration, what else could Jiang Xian say? I'm also very tired. But his brothers were all fighting with the Abyss Beast, so he didn't hesitate and disappeared in a flash. The cooldown time of the Phoenix form was 24 hours, but the Astral God arrow wasn't. Wang Lan summoned the Phoenix Holy Robe again, carried the Soul Slasher, and turned into a flying butterfly. The battlefield had shifted to 20 kilometers away. Here, the 4 titled experts were still kiting with tacit understanding, and the Abyss Beast was still invincible. The Star Sea Realm warriors could even get within 800 meters of the Abyss Beast. This distance was already the limit of most Takashi Hoshi technique. Most of the teachers sent by the academy didn't have such long-range attacks, so they could only wait for an opportunity to come under the tower and immediately retreat. Only the warriors of the Vermilion Bird Company could attack from a distance. Needless to say, the combined damage of more than 40 people of the Vermilion Bird Company was much more than the titled experts. The giant Abyss Beast let out a series of roars. But because of the constant interference of the 4 titled experts, the Abyss Beast tried to kill the Vermilion Bird Company several times, but the warriors failed. Using this method of boiling the frog in warm water to wear down the Abyss Beast's defense and combat power bit by bit, and when the defense of the Abyss Beast was broken, they would swarm in and kill it. And this opportunity to break the defense of the Abyss Beast seemed to be waiting for Wang Lan's arrival. Wang Lan flashed to the front line. Dragon Fong saw Wang Lan's arrival immediately. This is none of your business. What are you doing here? Dragon Fong hurriedly roared. I'm here to assist, go back. The situation is in our favor now. Just retreat to the side and heal our brothers. Don't cause trouble. The defense barrier of the beast is very difficult to deal with. Wang Lan looked at the Abyss Beast in front of him and said, Nonsense. If it was easy, would it be called the Abyss? Is its weakness the center of gravity of its barrier? Wang Lan asked solemnly. The center of gravity is both its weakness and its strongest point. Only the 5 emperors can break the center of the Abyss Beast. We can only wear it down slowly. Before he finished speaking, Wang Lan had disappeared. Where are you going? Don't get in the way of the Vermilion Bird Company. Chapter 410. Brother Jiang, I heard from Brother Gong Jian that everyone in the Vermilion Bird Company knows the crescent moon arrow. Is that true? That's right. In order to adapt to sea, land, and air combat, the crescent moon arrow is a must-have skill. I have a move that can break through the Abyss Beast barrier. This move evolved from the crescent moon arrow. It requires all or nothing. My astral power is limited. Please help me, brothers. Move the crescent moon arrow and then inject it into your body? Can your small body withstand it? Jiang Xian asked worriedly. Although Wang Lan was strange and his strength was indeed recognized, this request was too bold. It wasn't the astral power of one Takashi Hoshi, but the combined astral power of dozens of Star Sea Realm experts. Weren't you afraid of exploding? Injecting the crescent moon arrow into Wang Lan's body was actually the same as 2 people working together to activate the Takashi Hoshi skill. Because the crescent moon arrow used the body as the bow and the astral power in the body as the string, the astral power of the crescent moon arrow couldn't be fused outside the body. No problem. The situation was urgent, so Jiang Xian and the others couldn't dawdle. Soon, the remaining 40 or so Vermilion Bird Company warriors stood behind Wang Lan in a conical formation. The people behind them pressed against the backs of the people in front. It looked like internal power transmission, but it was much more complicated than that. Pure astral power couldn't enter another person's body. Astral power would repel, even if it was of the same attribute. However, the Takashi Hoshi skill could. The Takashi Hoshi skill of the same attribute could be fused. However, the fusion required extremely high coordination and control of astral power. If Wang Lan hadn't seen them use the 5 elements annihilation before and the Takashi Hoshi skill this time, Wang Lan wouldn't have dared to let them do this. What if it wasn't Takashi Hoshi's infusion but Takashi Hoshi's release instead? Wang Lan would have no choice but to use clone rebirth. The crescent moon arrow Takashi Hoshi used the meridians in the body as the bowstring. With each circulation, it was time to accumulate power. And this kind of accumulation of power had to link up more than 40 people. One could imagine how difficult it was. As long as one person made a mistake, Takashi Hoshi's skill would definitely backfire. As the star power surged, everyone from the Vermilion Bird Company exuded a golden light, making them look like bronze Buddha statues. All of a sudden, a bright light burst out, and a condensed and terrifying astral force rushed out from Jiang Xian's hand, pressing his palm on Wang Lan's back. Here you go. Boom! A surge of surging star power, like a torrential flood, instantly filled Wang Lan's limbs and bones. Void purple eyes open. Wang Lan opened his eyes, and the purple light in his eyes shot out like 2 searchlights into the sky. In the purple eyes, the abyssal beast's movements were almost stationary, and the center node of the barrier around the abyssal beast exuded a brilliant light. Astral God Arrow. Wang Lan's left hand held the wrist of his right hand, and 2 fingers formed a spear, pointing at the center node of the barrier. Suddenly, an arrow emitting a hot white light appeared at Wang Lan's fingertips. The arrow wasn't big or long, but it was exceptionally hot and dazzling. It was as if the sun had set on Wang Lan's fingertips. A terrifying power spread, and the world suddenly changed color. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and the surroundings were dark. It was as if the change of the world was to set off the beauty and heat of Wang Lan's arrow. The abyssal beast turned its face away and stared at Wang Lan. As if it had sensed the threat of Wang Lan's arrow, the abyssal beast quickly raised its hand and pulled the virtual bowstring. An arrow made of enormous astral power instantly took shape on the abyssal beast's virtual bowstring. However, Wang Lan's astral god arrow was shot. The power of the arrow froze the entire space. Even the 4 titled battle pet warriors who were attacking fiercely paused for a moment because of the frozen space. Pieces of space fell off layer by layer like broken glass. The arrow crossed the obstacles of space and hit the center of the abyssal beast's barrier. Boom! The horrifying white light illuminated the sky, and the abyssal beast's body was frozen. In just an instant, the barrier shattered with a boom. The bright arrow didn't change its direction. It pierced into the abyssal beast's chest. Boom! The white light pierced through the abyssal beast and rose to the sky. A huge hole was left in the abyssal beast's chest. Roar! The abyssal beast's invincible barrier was broken. The powerful abyssal beast was heavily wounded. Kill! Seeing this, Emotai immediately roared. The 4 titled battle pet warriors instantly mobilized all their astral power and crazily attacked the abyssal beast's chest almost at the same time. Before the abyssal behemoth could react, 4 terrifying attacks poured into the abyssal behemoth's chest, destroying its huge body from the inside. The abyssal beast was frozen again. Suddenly, its body exploded continuously like a stone statue. From head to toe, it was blown to pieces little by little. Assisting in a cross-rank kill. Reward: 150,000 experience points and 10,000 skill points. Successfully completing the decapitation mission. Reward: 300,000 experience points and 20,000 skill points. Hearing the pleasant voice, Wang Lan staggered a bit. He was exhausted twice in such a short time. However, looking at the abyssal beast that had turned into dust, Wang Lan put on a smile. Right at this moment, a ripple suddenly appeared in the void. 2 people stepped out of the void. Am I late? Emperor Qing glanced over the battlefield where the dust had settled. A bitter smile appeared on his face. He had rushed over as soon as he received the notice. It had only taken him 15 minutes at most. The abyssal beast was killed in such a short time? Yu Ruoyun came to Wang Lan and helped Wang Lan up. How are you? I'm fine. I'm just exhausted. Why are you here? I was worried, so I came to check on you. Anyway, you won't be in any danger. Emperor Qing had already learned about the situation from Mo Tai. Generally speaking, the abyssal beast's strength was beyond the Star Sea realm. Even the 4 titled battle pet warriors had less than a 10% chance of defeating the abyssal beast. In the past, the 5 emperors would deal with the abyssal beast. The titled battle pet warriors would stall the abyssal beasts until the 5 emperors arrived. This was the first time that such a situation had happened. After learning about the situation, Emperor Qing looked back at Wang Lan. After a long time, he sighed softly. The young man is really, the battle was over. The army returned triumphantly. This time, more than 20 of the 100 soldiers who went out to fight had died. The death of 20 Star Sea Realm warriors was a big loss even for the Jade State. But in terms of the result, it was worth it. More than 50 giant beasts and 1 abyssal beast. If it were another country, it would not be over if dozens or hundreds of Star Sea Realm warriors had died. If it were a third-tier country, it was possible that the country would be destroyed. With the end of the battle, the turmoil in the East Sea also calmed down. In addition, after the return of the powerful warriors, the East Sea became peaceful again in just 3 days. Even the defense line that had been lost because of the beast tide in the past 2 years was taken back. The East Sea became peaceful again, but it did not mean that the problem was solved. It just solved the hidden danger that had accumulated for 2 years. But if the root problem was not solved, the same thing would happen again in 2 years. Therefore, Wang Lan and the other support groups did not return to school. Instead, they stayed in the East Sea to stabilize the situation. 7 days later, the situation was completely stabilized. Wang Lan and the other support students could finally breathe a sigh of relief and have time to rest. 3 days of vacation was not a lot for many people, but for Wang Lan, who was exhausted after the battle, it was very precious. Wang Lan finally shouted the slogan that office workers shouted when they got a vacation after a month of tiredness. I will sleep for a day and a night. After sleeping for a night, he was awakened by Yu Ruoyun's knocking on the door the next morning. Wearing pajamas, Wang Lan opened the door. His eyes were a little red. My princess, disturbing one's sleep is like killing one's parents. Do you know that it is sometimes terrible to wake up angry? In Smith Country, there was a person who slaughtered a village because he woke up angry. Why should a living person be greedy for sleep? After death, they will naturally sleep. Yu Ruoyun said angrily. Then let me die right now. Don't talk nonsense. Get up and accompany me to the space-time checkpoint to investigate. Why? Investigate what? What else? The Takashi Hoshi clan's spatial stone incident. Have you forgotten about Luao? Okay. With a face of reluctance, he went to wash up and then followed Yu Ruoyun to the headquarters of the space-time checkpoint. After explaining the purpose of her visit, the person in charge of the checkpoint quickly invited Yu Ruoyun into the office. Miss Yu, after the last time, we were also investigating the Takashi Hoshi clan's spatial stone incident. The result was good, much better than I expected. Originally, from what Luao said, it seemed that all the Takashi Hoshi clans were doing the spatial stone incident. But in the end, we found that only 5 clans had such signs. Among these 5 clans, the number of times they stole was not many. Only the Lu clan transported a large amount of goods out every year. Because the previous space-time checkpoints were all opened by them, there was no way to find out how much they stole out. But from the amount that was seized this time, it was a lot. So you have already investigated. That saved me a lot of time. So, which 5 clans are they? Situ, Gongsun, Wang clan, Zhao clan, and... The person in charge of the space-time checkpoint raised his head and looked at Yu Ruoyun hesitantly. Zhenjiang Wang Yu clan. Zhenjiang Wang. What a disgrace to the clan. Yu Ruoyun snorted coldly. But the amount they stole is not even a tenth of the Lu clan's. What about that Lu Ao? How is it? How did the judicial department deal with it? I didn't hear how they dealt with it. It seems that after she was taken away last time, there was no news. I am only in charge of the checkpoint. How the judicial department does things, I really don't care. They won't let her go, right? That shouldn't be the case. After understanding the situation in the space-time checkpoint, Yu Ruoyun brought Wang Lan to the judicial department. Superintendent Li, 3S rank Takashi Hoshi techniques, I will take Lu Ao away. In the office of the judicial department, a young man with slicked back hair played with the emerald in his hand, and said faintly, Mr. Lu, it's not that I don't want to, it's really impossible. Superintendent Li's expression was conflicted as he said with a face of pain. 5 sets. Master Lu, don't mention 5 sets. If it's possible, even if you don't give me anything, I will still let young Master Lu go. But, he was personally caught by Princess Yu. Even if you lend me 10 guts, I still wouldn't dare to let him go. Then can I see Lu Ao? That's no problem, I will personally take you there. Chapter 411. In the detention center of the tribunal, there was a separate luxurious suite. It was fully equipped with daily necessities. Every day there would be people delivering sumptuous food. When they were bored, they could also watch the home theater and read books. Other than not being able to contact the outside world and communicate with others, life here was even more comfortable than staying in a hotel. However, Lu Ao was suffering. It had been 10 days. He had been brought to the tribunal for 10 days. According to the usual practice, he had already left the space and returned home to enjoy the hero's welcome. But until now, the tribunal had not released him. Lu Ao could not understand. Even if Princess Yu personally brought him in, with the relationship between the Lu family and the Yu family, Princess Yu would at most put on a show. The connections that should be made with the family's ability. Lu Ao. Accompanied by a voice, the cell door was opened. Lu Si. Damn, why are you only here now? What's going on? How did Princess Yu suddenly find out? Lu Si sat down on the sofa and asked. How the hell would I know? A few days ago, the person in charge of the space gate changed and you didn't inform me? Damn, that batch of goods was detained by the people in the space gate. After I found out, I went to the space gate to ask for an explanation. Who knew that I would be so unlucky to meet Princess Yu? That batch of goods could not be hidden and I was caught here. Are you stupid? Why did you make a fuss when that batch of goods was detained? Don't you know that you should pretend that you don't know anything and then find a scapegoat to say that he did it behind your back? How can you be so bad? I was just angry. A small division head of the space gate dared to seize the Lu family's things. When did our Lu family become so shameless? Alright, let's not talk about this. Let's go back. Did you say anything to anyone? Are you stupid? Do you think I don't know the gravity of the situation? Don't worry, I didn't say a word. Pfft. Suddenly, Lu Ao's body shook violently. He stared at Lu Si with wide eyes. He lowered his head stiffly. A long sword pierced his chest and came out from his back. You, Lu Ao, don't blame me. We have to learn from the Duanmu family's mistakes. Since you have already been implicated, I can't let you implicate the entire family. Don't worry, your girlfriend has already agreed to be with me. I will take good care of her for you. Third uncle and third aunt's family will take care of you in your old age. Just take it that you died in this beast tide. Pfff. Lu Ao was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body fell straight to the ground. Chief. Suddenly, a voice called out from outside the door. Chief, the second princess is here. I'll go out and greet them. Yu Ruoyun and Wang Lan stood in the hall of the judicial hall. Yu Ruoyun crossed her arms and her fingers trembled slightly. About 20 seconds later, Superintendent Li from the Supreme Court rushed over. Second princess, you're here. Where is Lu Ao? How is your investigation going? How many spatial stones did the Liu family transport? Why are they stealing spatial stones? This Superintendent Li instantly frowned, his head full of sweat. Don't tell me you haven't checked these past few days? Your Highness, please forgive us. You were the one who asked us to capture him, so we didn't dare to investigate further. We were waiting for you to punish us. I asked you to capture him? Liu Ao stole spatial stones, which is against the law. As the head of the judicial hall, you actually said such words? Yu Ruoyun was so angry that her liver hurt on the spot. Cousin Ruoyun. A gentle voice sounded from behind. Yu Ruoyun turned around coldly. The expression on her face froze for a moment, then it turned cold again. Lu Lai, it's you. Wait, have we become so distant from each other? You don't even call me cousin? It depends on what you're here for. You should know what your Liu family did. Since I know about this matter, I will definitely investigate it to the end. If there's really something wrong with the Liu family, I hope you can turn yourself in before it's too late. Don't wait for me to find out, then it won't look good for everyone. Isn't it just Liu Ao stealing spatial stones? You don't need to investigate this matter. But this matter wasn't done by the Liu family. It was done by Liu Ao himself. Or rather, it was done by my third grandpa's people. After Liu Ao was arrested, third grandpa had been hiding it from my grandfather. If it weren't for the family's shadow guard telling my grandfather that third grandpa had been running around recently, we would have been kept in the dark. After that, the shadow guard investigated. It turned out that the business of third grandpa's family was not well managed. They lost more than 30 billion yuan. In order to fill the hole, he took the risk. In the warehouse he secretly rented, we found a ton of spatial stones. Only a ton? Yu Ruoyun asked with a sneer. We found a ton. As for the rest, he said that he had already sold it. This matter is due to our mismanagement and negligence. Grandfather has ordered all the family's children who went out to return to the family to educate and investigate each branch. Where's Liu Ao? I want to take him away. Ruoyun, you should know that the Takashi Hoshi family has family law. When these words came out, Yu Ruoyun's face suddenly became gloomy. She stared coldly at Lu Lai for a long time. You're really ruthless. Wang Lan, let's go. Wang Lan was puzzled, but since he came to accompany Yu Ruoyun today, he didn't say much. He followed Yu Ruoyun out of the court and walked to the exit. Then the two came to the port and got on the bus to leave the space. This was Yu Ruoyun's impromptu idea. She went out to inform the family to investigate the Liu family. Why didn't you ask me why you turned around and left? You should have your reasons, right? Wang said as he fastened his seatbelt. Liu Ao is dead. He was killed to silence him. Yu Ruoyun said faintly. What? Dead? Liu Lai killed him? Then why are you still leaving? Just take down Liu Lai's spiritual imprint. Wouldn't everything be clear if you imprint him? Did you hear him talk about the family law of the Takashi Hoshi family? 70 years ago, Mr. Li launched a campaign to destroy the three old-fashioned families. Although he eventually broke the structure of the secular gentry, he didn't succeed in the Takashi Hoshi world. The Takashi Hoshi family controlled the most powerful Takashi Hoshi power at that time. Once they launched an attack, the Takashi Hoshi families in the country would counterattack and plunge the country into turmoil. Although they didn't destroy the Takashi Hoshi family at that time, they also agreed with the Takashi Hoshi family on the rules. The family law is the Takashi Hoshi family's right to punish the family's children. Once the family's children commit crimes and ruin the family's reputation, the family can punish them on their own after finding out. But the punishment must be heavier than the national law and must not be lightly forgiven. At that time, this rule was to limit the privileges of the Takashi Hoshi family. This rule has been very well continued to the present. But now, this rule was being used to silence people. Liu Lai used the family law privilege to kill Liu Ao. There's no problem with the national law. We can't use this reason to arrest him. But, I know what you want to say. It's nothing more than, since we're sure that Lu Lai has a problem, why don't we secretly detain him and make a spiritual imprint on him? You're underestimating the Lu family too much, or you're underestimating the Takashi Hoshi family too much. The reason why the Duanmu family was caught off guard by you was because they underestimated you and you controlled Duanmu at the first moment. This time, Lu Lai must have come prepared. It's very likely that there's a technique engraved in his head. Making a spiritual imprint on him will give the Lu family something to use against him. Wang Lan sighed. It was indeed difficult to handle. Dear passengers, please pay attention. We're about to pass through the space passage. All passengers, please check if your seat belt is fastened. There will be a serious shock later. Please be prepared, the reminder sounded. Wang Lan tightly grabbed the seat belt. He didn't know where the entrance and exit of the East China Sea reclamation space was. Going in and out required going through a terrifying roller coaster ride. About 5 minutes later, the feeling of rolling in the waves came and engulfed Wang Lan in an instant. After an unknown amount of time, the amphibious vehicle finally stabilized. The scene outside the window was already undulating sea. The passing ships rose and fell on the surface of the water. We're finally out. My phone, I love you. A voice came from the side. That person quickly took out his phone. F*CK, it's out of battery. Who has a charger? Wang Lan also took out his phone. It was the same fate. Although the phone was turned off long ago, it had been left for too long. The battery was seriously low. It would probably fall asleep in a few minutes. Just as the screen lit up, more than a dozen missed calls jumped on the screen. 3 of them were from Jiang Xinyu. The rest were from CSCC. Yu Ruoyun, who was secretly peeking at Wang Lan's phone screen, slightly curled her lips, revealing a look of contempt. Men. The embarrassment of the phone running out of battery was nothing to Wang Lan. He was a man who had mastered the power transmission skill. An arc of electricity flashed between his fingers. The phone's battery was rapidly rising. As a Takashi Hoshi, he basically picked the kind of phone with the best battery. Because he often had to go to the alternate space, the battery was not good. Wang Lan's phone was the legendary one that charged for 1 minute and could talk for 2 hours. In less than 3 minutes, the phone was fully charged. He quickly unlocked it and dialed Jiang Xinyu's number. Hello? Xinyu, yes, I just came out of the alternate space. East China Sea Reclamation Space, temporary mission. Danger? How could there be danger? This was an alternate space. For Takashi Hoshi above the galaxy realm, there was no danger. Yes. Really? You're going back? When? A month. That's quite long. Nothing, I just thought that I would only see you in a month. I can't wait. Yu Ruoyun, who was next to him, wanted to cover her ears and not listen. However, Wang Lan's voice seemed to have a magical power that drilled into her ears. Who said that Wang Lan was a block of wood? Didn't he know how to speak? Wasn't he speaking very well? Not only did he speak well, but he could also two-time behind your back. Thinking of this, Yu Ruoyun felt very uncomfortable. Although it was an accident with CSCC, at least they admitted to each other. If that's the case, I'm not even as good as CSCC. What am I? After a long time, Wang Lan hung up the phone. After leaving the alternate space, most of the people on the ship were talking on the phone. Wang Lan's actions did not seem to be special. However, Yu Ruoyun, who was next to him, was a little angry after being forced to eat dog food. Finish the phone call? Finished. Wang Lan did not understand Yu Ruoyun's meaning and casually replied. Didn't you have a missed call? Why didn't you call back? Are you afraid that I will tell on you? Suddenly, Wang Lan shuddered and her body jumped. She turned to look at Yu Ruoyun with a serious expression. Chapter 412. How did you know? Wang Lan's tone gave Yu Ruoyun a fright. Yu Ruoyun had never seen such a scary side of Wang Lan. Suddenly she felt wronged. She turned her face away and looked out of the window. What's there to not know? My uncle will investigate anyone who comes into contact with me. Do you think my uncle won't tell me? Wang Lan suddenly recalled what happened between him and Xie. It seemed that Emperor Qing really knew. Emperor Qing even mentioned it at the river. Thinking of this, Wang Lan's back was soaked in cold sweat. He couldn't imagine what would happen if Jiang Xinyu knew about it. Break up? Hate him? But she would probably beat him up, then disappear and hide in a place where no one could find her. If Wang Lan and Xie's relationship was dry wood and raging fire, then his relationship with Jiang Xinyu was a settled wine. Usually it might be normal, but without her, it would be a lifetime of pain and regret. On the 18th of December, Xie came to Shanghai. You didn't go out for 7 days. On the 25th of December, you ate, drank, and played in Shanghai. On the second day of the new year, Xie came back to Sioux City. Every word Yu Ruoyun said was like a heavy hammer hitting Wang Lan's heart. Wang Lan didn't hear the bitterness in Yu Ruoyun's words. Because of the accident between you and Xie, you chose to accept her. What about me? Although I succeeded in getting the dragon and phoenix bringing prosperity, I did it to save you. But you didn't know anything, Ruoyun, don't say it. Yu Ruoyun coldly interrupted Wang Lan. I know what you want to say. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. If Jiang Xinyu knows, it's definitely not because of me. Hearing Yu Ruoyun's words, Wang Lan's hanging heart finally relaxed. He leaned against the back of the chair as if he had collapsed. I'm not that kind of between Xie and me. I know. Yu Ruoyun murmured. That's why it's said that the ones who get hurt are always honest people. If you're a little more heartless and a little more scumbag, you can totally pretend that nothing happened. Can we not talk about this topic? Wang Lan shook his head with a wry smile. Yu Ruoyun's words made his ears burn. If this wasn't considered a scumbag, then what was? Wang Lan had already admitted his feelings. After spending a few days with Xie, Wang Lan had already understood himself. Don't find excuses, don't say anything about being responsible. You're just a pervert. You just want to hug women. You just want Xie and Jiang Xinyu at the same time. Therefore, when he heard that Jiang Xinyu actually classified him as an honest person in charge, Wang Lan couldn't bring himself to do it. What happened? Nothing. You're blushing. I feel refreshed. Dear passengers, the amphibious bus is about to dock. Passengers, please take your luggage and get off the bus in an orderly manner. Thank you for riding. With the announcement that the bus was about to dock, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's conversation ended. They got off the bus one after the other. Yu Ruoyun was carrying her luggage while Wang Lan was clean. Wang Lan only wanted to run now. He felt awkward staying with Yu Ruoyun for even a second, so he quickly said, I'll go back first. See you at the port 3 days later. What do you mean? You don't want to see me in these 3 days? Yu Ruoyun's face suddenly changed. Didn't you say that you'll return to the exploration space 3 days later? Can't I come to find you in these 3 days? No, I don't know how to talk. It's my honor to be at your beck and call. That's more like it. I'll go first. I still have to continue investigating the Liu family. I'll need your help then. No problem. It's just that, if the Liu family wants to make things difficult for me, you have to help me. Don't worry, they won't dare. Looking at Wang Lan disappearing at the end, Yu Ruoyun sighed slightly. A black luxury car slowly stopped beside Yu Ruoyun. The door opened, and a silver-haired old man got off the car and opened the door. Miss. Uncle Cho. Miss is back. Oh? Big sister is back? Is Ruojin also here? Young master is also here. Young master has grown a lot taller. Moreover, he has awakened the Takashi Hoshi talent. He will be a genius in the future. Knowing that her big sister was back, Yu Ruoyun's mood seemed to improve a lot. She took out her phone and clicked on Wang Lan's profile picture. Her fingers quickly pressed. Do you know why I promised to keep it a secret for you? She hesitated slightly before sending the message and finally deleted it. I've already taken the car. Let me know when I get home. After sending the message, Yu Ruoyun turned her head and looked at the city scenery outside the window. Her eyes were blurred as she recalled the scene of going through life and death with Wang Lan. Because I don't want to lose you. What? Nothing, I'm thinking about something. Uncle Cho, arrange for someone to secretly investigate the Liu family. What are they trying to do with the space stone? Also, do they have any relationship with the Duanmu family? Did they have a part in the danger I encountered in the 9-story pagoda? Got it, I'll go back and investigate immediately. Okay. Back home, Wang Lan took a comfortable hot bath. As for what Yu Ruoyun said about letting him know when he got home, please, I'm not King Kid, how can I let him know I'm safe? In the car, he didn't have a good chat with Jiang Xinyu and immediately made a call. The next day, Wang Lan slept until he woke up naturally. In his memory, it had been a long time since he woke up naturally. During the winter holidays, he didn't have those happy days with CSCC either. He would always be woken up by accidents and do morning exercises. He got up, brushed his teeth, washed his face, opened the fridge and made breakfast. After breakfast, he picked up his phone and scrolled through short videos. Today was a happy day. Coordinates: Punglai, Southern Heavenly Gate Wonder. Cloud Heavenly Gate, Kingdom of God reappears. After scrolling through a few videos, he actually saw a mirage called the Southern Heavenly Gate. Speaking of mirages, whether it was in his previous life or in this life, they were all wonders that people yearned for. Although science had already explained that mirages existed because of the refraction of light. However, there were still many things that were difficult to explain. For example, why would ancient buildings and ancient cities appear in mirages? Or, why would mirages never find the original scenery, regardless of whether it was ancient or modern buildings? Therefore, many people would say that mirages weren't simply refraction of light. It could also be a projection of time and space. However, mirages all had one thing in common, and that was coincidence. His appearance was a coincidence. Even in places where mirages often appeared, it was very rare for the same scene to appear. In this video, Wang Lan happened to see a streamer say that this was the 5th time he had captured the Southern Heavenly Gate. It was also the first time this year. This piqued Wang Lan's interest. Whether it was in his previous life or in this life, he was no stranger to the name Punglai. Many cities had changed their names. Only Punglai was still called Punglai. Moreover, it was called the Punglai Immortal Realm. Punglai was located on the coast of the Bohai Sea. Rumor had it that there were immortal islands floating in the sky in the Bohai Sea. Punglai was the border between the human and immortal worlds. Of course, this was a myth. However, it was true that Punglai was rich in mirages. Wang Lan opened the web page on his phone and searched for the Eastern Sea's Southern Heavenly Gate. Soon, a lot of notifications appeared on his phone screen. The most recent appearance of the Eastern Sea's Southern Heavenly Gate was at 3:20 on February 22, 5020. It lasted for 12 minutes. The Southern Heavenly Gate in the photo was majestic and vast. Although it was just a stone gate, there wasn't even a facade on the gate. However, the entire stone pillar was faintly visible. The dragon carvings on the stone pillar were faintly discernible. The moment he saw this photo, Wang Lan stood up abruptly and almost spilled the milk in front of him. This was because the stone gate in the photo was too similar. It was also too familiar. If it were someone else, they might not feel anything. The onlookers would only think that the stone gate in the mirage was just the same as the stone gates in some ancient towns. However, Wang Lan had been to the 9-story pagoda and seen the people from the Immortal Cloud sect. Although the Southern Heavenly Gate in the photo was different from the mountain gate of the Immortal Cloud sect, Wang Lan was still certain that this was the mountain gate of an ancient cultivation sect. This mirage. There's something wrong with it. Thinking of this, Wang Lan looked for the relevant video information even more seriously. However, as he sorted it out, Wang Lan's gaze became more and more strange. Especially when he stared at the time of the most recent mirage, he became more and more puzzled. Thump, 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 his phone rang. It was a call from Yu Ruoyun. "Hello, are you home?" "Yes. I'll be at your house right away." Wang Lan looked at the screen that showed that the other party had already hung up the phone, and he was dumbfounded. Although Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's relationship was already quite good, but had it already reached the point where they were so casual? In less than 5 minutes, Xiao Ai reminded him that a guest had arrived. Knowing that it was Yu Ruoyun, Wang Lan did not even look at her as he asked Xiao Ai to open the elevator door. Yu Ruoyun, who was dressed casually, walked out of the elevator and took off her hat. "Do you want to change your shoes?" "No, it's up to you." "Have you eaten?" Wang Lan asked with half a fried dough stick in his hand. "One look and I can tell that you just woke up, lazy pig." Yu Ruoyun sat casually on the sofa. The Liu family has already investigated thoroughly. Based on the travel records, they have stolen a large number of space stones from the 5 major open spaces in the past 3 years. However, we have searched all their warehouses, including the well-hidden warehouses. Although we found some illegal items, we did not find any space stones. Therefore, I suspect that the Liu family is also involved in what we encountered in the 9-story pagoda. Weren't the space stones in the 9-story pagoda provided by the Duanmu family? The accounts match, and the accounts from the country of ice and snow also match. But who knows that those space stones came from the Duanmu family? The Duanmu family itself also deals in space stones. However, the Liu family does not. If it has nothing to do with the Liu family, I really can't think of where they stole so many space stones. You came here just to tell me this? Tea or drink? Do you have coffee? Xiao Ai coffee. Okay. The robot responded and turned to the kitchen. What are you looking at? Eastern Sea's Southern Sky Gate? What is this? A mirage that happened recently in the Eastern Sea. By the way, look at this Southern Sky Gate. Do you find it familiar? Yu Ruoyun took the photo. It's too small. Don't you have a projector at home? Xiao Ai, turn on the TV wall. TV wall, it was indeed a TV wall. If Wang Lan did not show it, Yu Ruoyun would not have known that the background tiles on the TV wall in front of her were actually just a screen-saver. When the TV wall lit up, the entire wall was a whole LCD screen. Although the Yu family was a top nouveau riche family, their family lifestyle was antique. Their ability to accept new things and new technology was not as strong as a nouveau riche family. Robots, smart home, nothing at all. In their family's words, if they could have a smart home and smart life, then wouldn't the thousands of servants in the family lose their jobs? Chapter 413. When Yu Ruoyun saw the enlarged picture, she stood up like Wang Lan. Is this the mountain gate of an ancient cultivation sect? Looks like we have the same opinion. But soon Yu Ruoyun sat down dejectedly, a bitter smile on her face. So what if we know this is the mountain gate of a cultivation sect? The appearance of the mirage is extremely coincidental, and we never found the original scene. Who knows where this mountain gate is? No, but this mirage is very special. Wang Lan opened the post. The East Sea's Southern Sky Gate first appeared 5 years ago, but it has appeared frequently in the last 2 years. It appears almost every month or every 2 months. Looks like this immortal cultivation sect will be born soon? Born? Are you sure you're speaking human language? Is there a logical connection between the two? Those who have read online novels should have guessed that this kind of heaven and earth phenomenon appears frequently. Either a treasure is about to appear, or an ancient sect is about to appear. What's an online novel? What's the basis of your speculation? Don't worry about that for now. There's something more terrible here. Do you still remember the first time we saw those 3 giant beasts appear? It should be the 7th day after we entered the reclaimed space. We arrived at the forgetful river valley in 2 days, and the remaining 5 days were very boring. On the 5th day, we encountered the 97th group in the Big Grass Valley. It should be on the 22nd of February, right? Wang Lan said, opening a picture. Look at the time it was taken. On the 22nd of February at 3:27 in the afternoon? That's right. Although there's a difference in time perception in the reclaimed space, we've only been there for a few days, and the difference isn't that big. Then, can you find out the exact time when the beast tide occurred in the reclaimed space of the East Sea? This is no problem. Yu Ruoyan picked up the phone and dialed. After she finished speaking, she put down the phone, and her eyes flashed with curiosity. You're guessing that the appearance of the giant beasts in the East Sea's alternate space is related to the Southern Sky Gate? The reclaimed space of the East Sea is definitely special, and the appearance of the Eastern Sea's Southern Sky Gate is also very special. 2 special events that happened so close to each other coincidentally happened on the same day. It's easy to speculate that the two have an inexplicable connection. Very easy? Yu Ruoyan shook her head with a wry smile. Sorry, I can't tell. Maybe I'm a fool. Logically speaking, a strange phenomenon must be accompanied by more strange phenomena. If 2 strange phenomena occurred at the same place at the same time, there must be a connection between the two. And do you remember how the Academy of Sciences explained the sudden appearance of the giant beasts? They came from the same alternate dimension. Normally, the appearance of an alternate dimension would be devoured and fused with the giant space in close proximity. However, the space where the giant beasts were in didn't have any. That space was like a fixed space. For example, the 9-story pagoda. In that case, how did those exotic beasts come from the fixed space to the open space? Although the Academy of Sciences hasn't given an answer, the answer is obvious. What answer? Didn't you also study alternate dimension theory? Don't tell me you can't think of it? Looking at Wang Lan's astonished expression, Yu Ruoyun really wanted to slap him. So what if you're a straight-A student? Could a straight-A student look down on others so unscrupulously? I'm only studying alternate dimension theory, okay? Do you think I can compare to the big shots of the Academy of Sciences? Fixed space is torn apart. Wang Lan said solemnly. After coming out of the 9-story pagoda, I went to look through the information and consulted the relevant professors at Zhenhua University. A fixed space is a sealed and powerful space. This kind of space is usually not opened and is fixed in a certain place. The 9 spaces of the 9-story pagoda are fixed spaces. The way to enter the 9-story pagoda is through the pagoda door. However, the 9-story pagoda is a space after all. If a powerful force tears the space and breaks the 9-story pagoda, the exotic beasts in the 9-story pagoda will run out. When we went from the 4th floor to the 7th floor, we didn't use the conventional passage. The space-time turbulence triggered by the spatial stone was actually a spatial tear. Because the fixed space was torn apart, the giant exotic beasts entered the open space in the East Sea. Originally, I didn't know where the fixed space was. However, when I saw the East Sea's Southern Sky Gate, I suddenly realized that the space might be where the Eastern Sea's Southern Sky Gate is. Hearing this, if Yu Ruoyan still didn't understand, then all her years of learning would have been in vain. On the 7th floor of the 9-story pagoda, there was the immortal Cloud Gate, and there were countless powerful and terrifying exotic beasts inside. If the Eastern Sea's Southern Sky Gate was an ancient sect like the immortal Cloud Gate, it was reasonable for there to be giant exotic beasts in the space it was in. It's just that I don't know if the Southern Sky Gate's frequent appearance is a natural phenomenon or man-made. However, the reason is not important. The result is the same. Above the East Sea, there is a fixed alternate dimension with an ancient cultivation sect in the space. That's enough. The moment Wang Lan's voice fell, Yu Ruoyun's phone suddenly rang. Hello, it's me. Okay, send it to my Penguin account. After hanging up, Yu Ruoyun opened her phone. You have printing equipment at home, right? The time record of the beast tide in the open space in the East Sea has been sorted out. Of course, you can send it to me. Soon, a piece of A3 paper was printed. It recorded in detail the time, scale, and other detailed data of the beast tide in the open space in the East Sea over the past 2 years. However, these data were not important. What was important was the time when it happened. Wang Lan quickly opened the post that he had sorted out before to match the time. Soon, Wang Lan's face showed a smile of getting the answer. Rayun, look. In the past 2 years, the southern sky gate has frequently appeared and the alternate dimension has also been poor. The time of the beast tide riots is almost the same. This confirms my conjecture. Yu Ruoyun suddenly looked at Wang Lan in a daze. She had never looked so serious before. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? I suddenly feel inferior. The word inferior came out of Yu Ruoyun's mouth. This was unimaginable. As the second princess of the Jade State's royal family, she was destined to be a noble from the moment she was born. How could she feel inferior? Whether it was her background or her talent, she was unparalleled in her generation. Perhaps God also felt that Yu Ruoyun was too perfect, so he left some flaws in her perfection. Yu Ruoyun did not have a soul-stirring appearance. In terms of appearance, Jiang Xinyu was much more beautiful than Yu Ruoyun. Even Xie Sisi was more beautiful than Yu Ruoyun. However, Jiang Xinyu and Xie Sisi were top beauties. Although Yu Ruoyun was not soul-stirring, she was definitely not ugly. Coupled with the enhancement of her temperament, she was still a girl who could make people's hearts beat at first sight. Therefore, it was impossible for her to feel inferior, no matter in what aspect. However, at this moment, she really felt inferior in front of Wang Lan. Because of Wang Lan's excellence, Yu Ruoyun suddenly realized that she might not be worthy of him. I can stubbornly believe that my talent is not inferior to yours. I can also stubbornly say that my strength is not inferior to yours. However, in other aspects I feel that the gap between you and me is like a chasm. It has been 2 years since the Eastern Sea Wasteland Reclamation space changed. So many people have been searching for the source of the change for 2 years, but to no avail. However, you, in such a short time, have analyzed the source and the reason so thoroughly. You even have a complete theory and evidence? What on earth are you thinking? How did you associate an ordinary mirage with the abnormality of the alternate space? Why can't others think of it? You don't have to feel inferior about this. You're not the only one who thinks this way. As for why others can't think of it, maybe they've been brainwashed? Anyway, I feel that it's quite easy to think of it. Let's not dwell on this. Let's go investigate. It's an ancient sect. Maybe we can find ancient cultivation method. I'll contact my family. I'll make a trip to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. The two of them spoke almost at the same time, but their thoughts were completely different. Even if Yu Ruoyun stood on the side of the country for the sake of righteousness, the first thing she thought of when she encountered a problem was still her family. The two of them left Phoenix Square. In the underground garage, Wang Lan saw Yu Ruoyun's Huaxia sports car. Wang Lan remembered that Jiang Xinyu also had one of this model. Keep in touch and act together. Of course. Although it had only been half a month, coming to the Heavenly Sword Bureau again felt like a lifetime ago. But what he said was not wrong. After all, wasn't a trip to the reclaimed space equivalent to a trip to another world? At the front desk, Wang Lan asked the receptionist, "Is the director free? I have something urgent to report." "Colonel Wang Lan, please wait a moment. I'll call the secretarial department right away." Soon, a reply came. Qing Jianlong gave the green light to Wang Lan's visit. Entering Qing Jianlong's office, Wang Lan took off his hat and saluted. Reporting to the director, Wang Lan has something important to report. Speak. Recently, the mirage of the East China Sea's southern sky gate has been spreading like wildfire. But I speculate that it's not a mirage, but a projection of a fixed alternate space. That southern sky gate is not an ordinary building. It's the mountain gate of an ancient cultivation sect. And I also speculate that this fixed alternate space is related to the frequent appearance of giant beasts in the East China Sea in the past 2 years. I intend to investigate further, and I seek the director's approval. Hearing this, Qing Jianlong stopped writing and looked at Wang Lan blankly. I remember you just came out of the East China Sea space, right? Yes. You came out because I came out on a 3-day break. I just didn't expect to hear about the Southern Sky Gate when I came out. Coincidentally, I saw a similar mountain gate in the immortal Cloud Gate of the 9-story pagoda, so I recognized that the Southern Sky Gate is unusual. Qing Jianlong was dumbfounded. How did this person's luck grow? No, this is no longer luck, but destiny. You're indeed a mascot. You can find big things so casually. I approve your investigation of this matter. If you need manpower, tell me. The Yu family will also be involved in the investigation. Why don't you give me some experts? Otherwise, I'll lose my momentum if I don't have enough manpower. Yu family? Why would the Yu family be involved? Because this matter was originally discovered by me and Yu Ruoyun together. After speculating the results, we agreed to follow up the investigation together. Okay, I'll ask Ming Yi to arrange 2 independent teams for you. Thank you, Director. If you need anything, just call me directly. This is my private phone number. Remember it. The independent teams had Yang Yang's team and Team A, a total of 8 people. Wang Lan's name was like thunder to the ears of the independent teams. Especially Team S, because they had followed Wang Lan for a few days. They were sincerely convinced by Wang Lan and often praised Wang Lan in front of their comrade. Therefore, although Wang Lan was young and of the same rank as their captain, they were very fortunate to be led by Wang Lan. Everyone. Whoosh, they stood at attention. Chapter 4:14. Everyone, don't be so reserved. Wang Lan calmed them down. This time, we need to carry out a temporary investigation mission. We don't have any combat missions for now. Is everyone clear about the details of the mission? Commander, we only know that we need to investigate a fixed alternate dimension, but where and how to investigate? The higher-ups didn't say, they only said to listen to your orders. Our mission is to investigate a fixed alternate dimension, but I don't know the specific direction of the investigation. Once everyone is here, let's get on the car and meet up with Yu Ruoyun. They got on the car and left the Heavenly Sword Bureau. When they arrived at the Shanghai estuary, they saw more than a dozen luxury commercial vehicles lined up in a row, attracting countless people to watch and take photos. Compared to his 2 rough off-road vehicles, he suddenly had a feeling of wanting to throw them away. The difference was too big. Although the 2 off-road vehicles could be considered luxury cars in the eyes of ordinary people. But compared to the kind of cars that the Yu family drove, they couldn't be considered luxurious. When they got off the car, the 9 people, including Wang Lan, were all in black military uniforms. This lineup immediately caused a burst of exclamations around them. In terms of ostentation, the Heavenly Sword Bureau lost a little. But after getting off the car, Wang Lan and his team's elegance instantly overwhelmed the luxury car formation. Military uniforms were not something that could be worn by one person. Wow, I love it, I love it. Not far away, a fashionable girl at the port took photos of Wang Lan and his team with her mobile phone and shouted excitedly. Her companions probably felt that the girl was too embarrassing and pulled her away. So handsome. I've decided I'm going to marry Brother Soldier in the future. These young people are so energetic, but why are their military uniforms black? Ignoring the noise around them, Wang Lan and his team went straight to Yu Ruoyun's team. A car door slowly opened and Yu Ruoyun, dressed in a lady's suit, got off the car and closed the door. You're here? Yes. Let's not delay, let's go. The group boarded Yu Ruoyun's princess yacht and left the port for the East China Sea. If this was a yacht, Wang Lan felt that it was more like an oil tanker. It was 70 meters long, more than 300 square meters in area, and 3 floors were luxuriously decorated. This was a moving villa on the sea. This time, Yu Ruoyun had brought over 20 people. 5 of them were at the Celestial Sea Realm, while the rest were all at the peak stage of the Celestial Sea Realm. Even if Yu Ruoyun was the apple of the Yu family's eye, she wouldn't be able to mobilize more of the family's power. On Wang Lan's side, apart from Wang Lan, there were 2 Celestial Sea Realm cultivators, while the rest were all Celestial River Realm cultivators. This lineup was more than enough to support an open space, let alone investigate the location of a fixed space. The yacht shuttled back and forth on the sea at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour, but it was very stable. There was a little shaking, but there was absolutely no feeling of turbulence. This was all thanks to the pleasant weather today. It was a sunny day of 25 or 26 degrees, and the wind was calm. Wang Lan leaned against the railing of the yacht, admiring the rare beauty of the sea through his sunglasses. "Do you want to drink?" A voice suddenly interrupted Wang Lan's contemplation. Yu Ruoyun, who had changed into a casual dress, came to Wang Lan's side with a bottle of red wine and 2 wine glasses. "I can't drink during official business," Wang Lan replied methodically. Yu Ruoyun rolled her eyes at Wang Lan. "It's you who can't drink, right?" Wang Lan's alcohol tolerance wasn't a secret. Whether it was the Heavenly Sword Bureau or his circle of friends, everyone knew about it. It was just that it was rare for such a romantic opportunity to be in such a romantic environment, but Wang Lan spoiled the mood. It was really annoying. With the Yu family's ability, they should have already investigated something, right? Do they have an accurate target? Yu Ruoyun poured herself a glass, raised the glass, and looked at the sea in the distance. She took a sip. "Didn't we find out that the Lu family stole the spatial stones in the open space? After that, we couldn't find the whereabouts of their spatial stones. We used the General Staff Department's ability, but we couldn't find anything. This only proves that the spatial stones they stole didn't leak out. So many spatial stones, where did they go? You suspect that the southern heavenly gate appeared with spatial stones? Isn't this the result of your deduction? Coincidentally, the Lu family has a tourism development project on the Sanxian Island in the East China Sea. They plan to build an immortal sect tourism area. This project was established 7 years ago and started 5 years ago. Until now, the Lu family has invested more than 7 billion. The location of the Sanxian Island? East of Penglai, 400 kilometers. So far. Wang Lan frowned. Doing a tourism project from such a long distance? No one would take a 400-kilometer boat ride, right? If the Southern Heavenly Gate incident didn't happen, no one would suspect this project. After all, the world doesn't lack stupid people with a lot of money. And as long as the advertisement is good, the project can still be executed. After all, it's an immortal sect tourism area. If it's not a remote place, it doesn't look like an immortal sect, right? At least the Taishan Divine Palace project in Taishan was done well. Then it's very likely to be that place. If it's related to the Lu family, then it's man-made. It's better if it's done by humans than by demons. I hope so. It'll take at least 17 hours to get there. Are you going to be in a daze outside during this time? Aren't you going to do something else to pass the time? As she spoke, Yu Ruoyun looked at Wang Lan expectantly. She didn't even hesitate to tease him. That's true. Why don't we play Fight the Landlord? Yu Ruoyun looked at Wang Lan blankly. At this moment, she really wanted to knock open Wang Lan's head to see what his brain was made of. How did he make Jiang Xinyu and Xie Sisi so obsessed? You don't know how? Then do you know how to play mahjong? Do you want to play mahjong? Get lost. Actually, don't look at the yacht parties in idle dramas. Or the rich people who went out on yachts when they had nothing to do. But it was actually very boring after going out to sea. In a narrow space, on the endless sea, sometimes there was no signal. The only entertainment they could think of was fishing. The special agents of the Heavenly Sword Bureau and the Takashi Hoshi of the Yu family split up and fished on both sides of the yacht to pass the time. Compared to them, Wang Lan played more excitedly and had more fun. This was the endless sea, and the sea was the territory of the sea demon. The gold Takashi Hoshi skill sea demon was like a ghost in the sea. After activating the Takashi Hoshi skill, Wang Lan's body was in a very strange state. The water within a 500-meter radius seemed to have some kind of strange connection with Wang Lan. In this state, Wang Lan didn't need to breathe or look. With a thought, he could appear hundreds of meters away and become one with the sea. He dived into the deep sea to pick up sea crawls or played hide and seek with the fish in the sea. Unknowingly, 17 hours passed. When the sun rose from the sea and the light broke through the dawn, Yu Ruoyun's yacht approached the Three Immortal Island. When they were 3 kilometers away from the Three Immortal Island, 3 speedboats whizzed toward Yu Ruoyun's yacht. When the LV family found the yacht, they naturally recognized the origin of this yacht. After all, there weren't many people in Jade State who could own a yacht of this level. Ruoyun, why are you here? LVC stood on the speedboat and looked up with a smile at Yu Ruoyun, who was standing by the guardrail on the yacht. I'm on vacation, so I came to take a look at the Immortal Gate of the Three Immortal Island. Can't I? Of course, no problem, but the Immortal Gate hasn't been built yet, right? When the Immortal Gate is built, I'll invite you to visit as soon as possible, okay? You've been building it for 7 years. Even if it hasn't been built, it should be almost done, right? It's okay, you can build it yourself. We're just visiting. Must you go? LVC suddenly stopped smiling and asked solemnly. Of course. Why? Are you trying to stop me? I don't dare. Grandpa said that if the second princess must go to the Three Immortal Island, then I'll personally lead the way. Second princess, please. There are many submerged reefs nearby. It won't be good if the yacht is damaged. As she spoke, she turned the speedboat and drove toward the Three Immortal Island not far away. Although the Three Immortal Island couldn't be found on the map, it didn't mean that it was really small. On the contrary, the Three Immortal Island was a very large island, equivalent to the size of a county in Sioux City. The Three Immortal Island was like a mountain floating on the water. The mountain peak was in a regular triangle, symmetrical with the reflection in the water. Looking from a distance, the scene was very beautiful. The shore of the Three Immortal Island was a gravel beach. Although it was rugged, it was full of ancient charm. Under the leadership of LVC, the group of people parked the yacht and went ashore. LVC thought that there were only Yu Ruoyun and her party. But when she saw Wang Lan and his party in military uniforms, LVC's eyes flashed again. Only the Heavenly Sword Bureau had black military uniforms. Even the Heavenly Sword Bureau was involved. It seemed that they didn't come here with good intentions. LVC's heart sank when she saw Cho Bo in the crowd. Cho Bo's name was not well known, and he didn't have a place among the titled battle pet warriors in the Jade State. But LVC knew that Cho Bo was definitely a titled battle pet warrior, and he was one of the top ones among the titled battle pet warriors. Our construction site is behind the mountain. We'll reach it after crossing the canyon. The outside was surrounded by high mountains. From the outside, one could only see continuous towering mountains. However, after passing through the rugged canyon between the two mountains, the scene in front of them could be described as the end of the mountain and the end of the river. It turned out that there was a huge basin hidden in the outer mountains. In the basin, numerous construction machines were busy in full swing. The excavators carefully dug out the stones on the mountain and then loaded them into trucks to transport them away. Judging from your movements, it doesn't look like you're building. It looks more like an archaeological excavation, Yu Ruoyun whispered to LVC. Wait until you see my grandpa. My grandpa will tell you. They arrived at the construction site. An old man walked over slowly with the help of a young girl. Wang Lan glanced over casually. The girl was staring at them with hostility. Her face was full of unhappiness. When he saw Wang Lan's gaze, he actually snorted coldly. Grandpa LV, hello. I'm Yun. I haven't seen you for a long time. Are you still healthy? Good, very good. The old man wore a kind smile, as if he were just an ordinary old man. But Wang Lan could feel the surging astral powers inside the old man. With such a strong astral power, the old man didn't look like a dying tree that needed someone to help him. Grandpa LV, you're so old. Why did you come all the way here to supervise the construction? Yu Ruoyun asked pointedly. I had no choice. The LV family has been looking for it for thousands of years. It was about to be found. I didn't trust the younger generation to keep an eye on it, so I had to look for it myself. Grandpa LV, what are you looking for? Isn't that what you're here for? Little girl, when did you learn to play dumb? Chapter 4:15. Come with me. Old Man Lu was straightforward. Since he knew that he couldn't hide it, he might as well lay it all out. Wang Lan and the others were also bold. On his side, Uncle Cho was a titled expert, so he wasn't afraid of them. Moreover, this was the East Sea, the territory of the Jade State, not the alternate space. Why should he be afraid of the Lu family? They followed Old Man Lu to a part of the construction site. The outside was covered with colored steel plates. As they entered, Wang Lan felt as if he had arrived at an ancient tomb excavation site. Underneath the square pits were messy ruins. A group of people who looked like archaeologists were carefully brushing away the mud and digging. Some of the pits had already been excavated, revealing a corner of the city wall. The city wall had been sealed for thousands of years and had finally seen the light of day. The surface had been severely weathered and merged with the soil. What are you looking for? Was this place a city in the past? Yu Ruoyun asked doubtfully. No, this place used to be an ancient cultivation sect, Bright Sun Sword Pavilion, Old Man Lu said with his hands behind his back. Our Lu family inherited the legacy of an ancient cultivation sect. However, there are always people who think that we are just flattering ourselves. The Lu family has experienced ups and downs for 3,000 years. Is there any family in the Jade State that has lasted longer than our Lu family? No. Is there a need for our Lu family to flatter ourselves? 3,000 years ago was known as the Age of Chaos. At that time, the powerful Great Qin Empire had yet to rise. At that time, the cultivation sects were already fragmented and the mortal world was polluted. In order to not be implicated by the mortal world, the cultivation sects chose to live in seclusion to deal with the army of demons. Perhaps because of the seclusion of the cultivation sects, many mortals were obsessed with seeking immortality. There were also countless opportunistic people who claimed to be Qi cultivators and were taught spells by immortals to deceive the world. That year, the Central Plains was in chaos. In order to avoid the war, the young ancestor of the Lu family followed his hometown and wandered around. However, he was lucky. He didn't die in the war like many of his hometown. Instead, he accidentally fell into the water and accidentally entered an otherworldly paradise. Although my ancestor lost his way in the immortal realm and accidentally ate the immortal fruit, he coincidentally awakened the innate talent of Takashi Hoshi. However, even after activating the Takashi Hoshi innate skill, the ancestor was still immortal. When his life was in danger, a disciple of the Hao Yang Sword Pavilion came to the immortal land to pick herbs. Seeing how pitiful the ancestor was, he was brought into the Hao Yang Sword Pavilion. My ancestor was accepted as an outer disciple and cultivated in the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion for 10 years. Suddenly, one day, the Sword Garret received a warning from the Heavenly Court that the demons had opened a space-time tunnel and were about to attack. On that day, the disciples of the Sword Pavilion came out one after another. They went down the mountain with their swords to protect the common people. The ancestor was one of them. In the 3 years of war, the Central Plains had suffered great losses. The disciples of the Sword Garret had also suffered great casualties. Suddenly, one day, the ancestor received an order from the sect, ordering the disciple to immediately return to the sect to protect the sect. Because of the delay on the road, the ancestor was a few days late. However, when he wanted to rush back to the sect, the mountain gate was already shattered. Hidden in the void, he could no longer be found. Helpless, the ancestor continued to devote himself to the great cause of resisting the demons. Later on, he had a wife and children in the mortal world and established the Lu family. However, the Lu family could never forget the ancestor's final wish. For 3,000 years, the Lu family had been bitterly searching for the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion. Finally, we found it 5 years ago. The mountain gate of the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion is hidden in the void above us. This is the reason why you are excavating here? Since the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion is in the void above us, what are these ruins? The Bright Sun Sword Pavilion fell from the void and was destroyed. The ancestor said that when he arrived, the side hall fell from the void. The mountain gate was destroyed and the void was sealed. He could no longer enter the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion. Old Mr. Lu. Wang Lan took a step forward and bowed. You said that the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion received a warning from the Heavenly Court? This Heavenly Court is... The Heavenly Court is the Heavenly Court, Old Man Lu said in a deep voice, because thousands of years have passed, the ancestors' original words have changed. I don't know what the ancestors' original words were, but our family has a stone tablet left behind by the ancestor. It has a history of 3,000 years. The stone tablet clearly recorded the Heavenly Court. From this, we can infer that the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion and the Heavenly Court are related. There should be another dimension above the cultivation sect. However, the ancestor was only an ordinary disciple back then, so he didn't know about this secret. Is that so? In order to open the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion in the void, you planned to use a large number of spatial stones to forcefully open the alternate space passage? All the spatial stones that you stole from the 5 great wastelands over the years were used here? Stolen spatial stones? Old Man Lu turned his face slightly, and his eyes gradually turned cold. This little brother is already a colonel at such a young age. The younger generation will surpass us in time. However, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak whatever you want. You said that the Lu family stole spatial stones? Do you have evidence? Or are you questioning me on behalf of the Heavenly Sword Bureau? Are you qualified to speak on behalf of the Heavenly Sword Bureau? If it were an ordinary person, they would have obediently shut up after being accused by these 2 words. However, it was a pity that Wang Lan was an ordinary person. I am representing the Heavenly Sword Bureau. As for evidence, Ruoyun, take out the evidence from your investigation. Grandpa Lu, if there is no conclusive evidence, we won't go to 3 Immortal Island. Grandpa Lu, it's best not to make our relationship too stiff. Yu Ruoyun said. Lu Yi looked at Yu Ruoyun in surprise and then looked at Wang Lan. After a long time, he gently shook his head. Forgive this old man for being blind, but who is this young man? Grandpa, he is Wang Lan, Lu Si said from the side. So it's the son of Yen Emperor. No wonder. Even so, we didn't use spatial stones recklessly like those Takashi Hoshi families. We just wanted to find our ancestors' sect, and find something that belonged to our Lu family. Is this illegal? Gunpowder is also prohibited, but mining is allowed, right? We didn't endanger the safety of the country or society. Isn't the Heavenly Sword Bureau a bit too broad? Because the Lu family misused spatial stones to open a fixed space, more than 50 giant beasts from the fixed space entered the East Sea Wasteland reclamation space, causing more than 20 beast tides in the past 2 years, causing the East Sea Wasteland reclamation team to suffer heavy casualties. This time, in order to eliminate the hidden dangers of the past 2 years, 13 Star Sea Realm experts were sacrificed. You're telling me that you didn't cause any losses to the country? That you didn't pose a threat to society? Nonsense. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. You forcibly opened a fixed space, causing it to be torn apart. This place is so close to the East Sea Wasteland Reclamation Space. The torn space is bridged with the East Sea Wasteland Reclamation Space, causing the ferocious beasts from the space to enter the East Sea Wasteland Reclamation Space. The reason and evidence are all clearly investigated. If you still want to quibble, then you are refusing to admit your guilt. Wang Lan fiercely took a step forward and shouted aggressively. What do you want? Lu Yi stared at Wang Lan without backing down and shouted word by word. Stop all operations on the Three Immortals Island. All related people will return to Shanghai for investigation. When Wang Lan said this, the whole world became silent. Everyone in the Lu family looked at Wang Lan in a daze. They really didn't understand where Wang Lan, a brat who was still wet behind the ears, got the courage to say this. Liang Jingru didn't dare to give him this courage, did she? Was the world changing too fast, and the young people had become so arrogant? Or was it that the Lu family had been low-key for so long that people thought that the Lu family couldn't lift a knife? Lu Province's Lu family, Jade State's top Takashi Hoshi family, a very fierce and terrible kind. The heavy breathing was particularly clear in the deathly silent environment. Suddenly Louis laughed, and his laughter was somewhat crazy. So that's how it is. It seems that you all have taken a fancy to the Bright Sun Sword Pavilion. Our Lu family has been looking for something for 3,000 years, and just when we were about to get it, you came to pick the peach. Ha ha ha, interesting, interesting. Good, very good. Lu Yi slowly turned around and walked into the depths with his hands behind his back. Stop! This time, it was Yu Ruoyun who shouted. The moment Yu Ruoyun shouted, Cho Bo took action. In a flash, he had turned into a ray of light. But all of a sudden, a golden arm stretched out from the void and blocked Cho Bo's way. A middle-aged burly man with a golden glow appeared in front of Cho Bo and confronted him. Louis Feng? Aren't you exploring space in the northeast? Cho Bo asked solemnly. It seems that the Lu family is well prepared. Yu Ruoyun looked coldly at Lu Yi's back, who was still slowly walking away. You secretly called back the Lu family's titled battle pet warrior. Since Lu Yifeng is back, Lu Xiangyang should be back too, right? As Yu Ruoyun's voice fell, another figure appeared out of nowhere and stood next to Cho Bo. Chao Jing'an, you are no match for the two of us. It would be bad if you hurt the second princess. Go back. Cho Bo, do it. Yu Ruoyun didn't waste time. She directly activated her astral power and sublimated it. Seeing that Yu Ruoyun had activated the Dragon Emperor form, Wang Lan didn't waste time either and directly activated the Phoenix form. A loud phoenix cry rose into the sky, and a deep dragon roar hovered in the air. The moment Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's astral power connected, a surge of momentum rushed into the sky and distorted the space. Lu Xiangyang's expression suddenly changed. He looked at Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun in surprise. He had long heard that Yu Ruoyun was a once-in-a-lifetime talent and that she was the first peerless genius to break through to the Star Sea realm before the age of 20. But didn't Yu Ruoyun just break through to the Star Sea realm? What was this momentum? A titled battle pet warrior? Not only had she reached the strength of a titled battle pet warrior, but she had even surpassed him? Although he had activated the Dragon Emperor form, what kind of monsters were these two in front of him? If the realm of 5 emperors was a distant and unreachable dream, for these two, it was just a matter of eating and drinking. Lu Xiangyang's mentality collapsed. Lu Xiangyang was surprised, but Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun didn't. In an instant, the two turned into colorful butterflies and flew. When they reappeared, they were already on Lu Xiangyang's left and right. 2 extremely hot rays of light instantly shot out. Boom! There was a loud explosion, like the crisp sound of a battle horn. The experts of the Lu family and the Yu family also moved in an instant. A fierce battle broke out within a second. Lu Yi's figure kept flashing. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived at the depths of the Three-Deity Island. In the depths of the Three-Deity Island, a steel fortress slowly opened. Inside the steel fortress, an unknown but powerful instrument slowly returned to its position under the swing of a precise instrument. How long until the coordinates are set? It'll be completed in 3 minutes. Activate immediately after it's completed. As soon as Lu Yi's voice fell, a loud noise in the distance turned into rolling wheels. Chapter 4:16. They really dare to make a move? Lu Yi's eyes flashed with a cold light as he murmured. Patriarch, who dares to cause trouble on the Three Immortal Island? Brothers, follow me, they must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. A middle-aged man from the Lu family shouted sternly as he called for his men to gather quickly. No need, Yifeng and Xiangyang are there. Lu Yi shouted. What? Yifeng and Xiangyang are back? They still dare to make a move? Lu Qi asked in shock. Father, who is it? That girl from the Yu family, and the people from the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Last year, the Yu family and the Heavenly Sword Bureau worked together to destroy the Duanmu family. Now it's our Lu family's turn. The Duanmu family tried to assassinate Princess Yu, so they deserved it. What about us? Who did we get in the way? Lu Qi couldn't figure it out and asked agitatedly. Who did we offend? Humph. If you want to punish us, just find a reason. It's just that you took a fancy to the opportunity of the Haoyang Sword Pavilion. The thing that our Lu family has been looking for 3,000 years is ours. Rumble, the fierce battle in the distance was getting more and more intense, and the sound was getting closer and closer. Hearing this loud sound, Lu Yi's face became even more gloomy. Even Lu Xiangyang and Lu Yifeng, two titled experts, couldn't stop them. Lu Yi still underestimated the determination of the Yu family. But because of this, Lu Yi was even more determined. As long as we get the inheritance of the Haoyang Sword Pavilion, who in the world will dare to touch the Lu family? The Lu family's humiliation today was not because the Yu family was overbearing, but because the Lu family was too weak. If the Lu family was strong, so strong that no one dared to have any ideas, today's matter would not have happened. Have the spatial coordinates been determined? Yes, the coordinates have been determined. Activate the spatial stone immediately. Open the door. The group instantly left the metal fortress. As the button was activated, the instrument made a buzzing sound, and the crackling electric arc stimulated the spatial stone piled up like a mountain in the middle. 3 kilometers away from the spatial stone, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun were almost suppressing Lu Xiangyang. After the two of them connected their star powers, not only did they possess the power of the dragon and the phoenix, their Takashi Hoshi skills were also enhanced with special effects. Yu Ruoyun's Takashi Hoshi technique was still alright. Her regular Takashi Hoshi techniques were all S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique. She hadn't had the time to comprehend the virtuous-like water that she had obtained previously. However, Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi skills were all platinum level. Platinum Takashi Hoshi techniques could be considered Super S rank. Although the difference between Super S rank Takashi Hoshi techniques was like heaven and earth, the power of Super S rank techniques was at least at the level of a Sure-Kill Star Ocean tier. Once it was strengthened, it would be a sure-kill weapon for titled battle pet warriors. This resulted in LV Xiangyang's current situation. Looking at the two children's combat experience, combat awareness, and even their realms, LV Xiangyang realized that they were far inferior. But the damage output was enough to kill a titled battle pet warrior with one strike. Sure-kill techniques were all trump cards. They wouldn't be used unless it was absolutely necessary. The two of you used sure-kill techniques like they were A-rank skills? Wasn't that a bit too much? At this moment, Lu Xiangyang was very envious of Lu Yifeng, who was at the side. In any case, you were able to fight back and forth with Uncle Cho, but he was being beaten like a dog by Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun. Scorching flaming blade, Yu Ruoyun shouted. Her hands danced, and more than a dozen flaming blades condensed from extremely hot rays of light instantly shot out. If these flaming blades were just shot out, it would be fine. These flaming blades were still under the control of Yu Ruoyun's mental power and could be changed direction. Sword Blade Storm. Wang Lan instantly activated his wind snare and nebula sword dance. In an instant, the space around them was swallowed up by the sword blade storm. LV Xiangyang's Huayang battle body had nowhere to hide and could only endure this wave of attack. Puff! Having just survived Wang Lan's sword blade storm, Yu Ruoyun's scorching flaming blade instantly attacked. LV Xiangyang didn't even have time to dodge. With a boom, more than a dozen flaming blades hit his body. More than half of the Huayang battle body was destroyed in an instant. LV Xiangyang was fixed between the eyebrows of the Huayang battle body, and the expression on his face gradually became ferocious and perverted. Damn it, damn it, damn it! You actually forced me to this point. Go to hell, all of you! Faced with LV Xiangyang's sudden burst of terrifying aura and domain, LV Feng and Uncle Cho suddenly paused. Uncle Chao's eyes were about to burst. LV Xiangyang, you dare! Xiangyang, don't be impulsive! LV Feng also roared in horror. Even if they fought fiercely, they still controlled their strength. Moreover, the purpose of the two from the LV family was already clear. They stopped all invaders and ensured that they wouldn't disturb the opening of the space behind them. As long as they found the bright Yang Sword Pavilion and got the inheritance, the LV family would win. What was a little grievance at this time? There would be plenty of opportunities to take revenge in the future. But if something happened to Yu Ruoyun here, then it would really be a matter of life and death. But at this moment, LV Xiangyang seemed to have no time to care about this. It was too sullen, too humiliating. LV Xiangyang had been smooth sailing for so many years, when had he ever suffered such grievances? Just when LV Xiangyang was about to disregard everything and deal with Wang Lan first, a cold voice suddenly sounded in his ear. Void Amethyst Eye, open! In an instant, as if a bucket of cold water was poured down from the top of his head, LV Xiangyang's anger was completely extinguished. Being locked on by Wang Lan's void amethyst eye, if it was a strange beast, it might only feel a trace of danger. But for an expert like LV Xiangyang, he could instantly understand the terrible consequences of being locked on by the void amethyst eye. It was a kind of locking on like the law of cause and effect. As long as it was locked on by me, there was no way to dodge or break free. In the next moment, Wang Lan's action made LV Xiangyang's soul almost leave his body. Starry Sky God Arrow, this arrow will kill him, right? In an instant, LV Xiangyang felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Rumble! Suddenly, a loud sound came from afar, and a brilliant white light turned into a laser and shot into the sky. Seeing this scene, the space god arrow that was about to shoot had no choice but to stop. Not good. The Lu family activated the spatial gem again. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun instantly turned into hell butterflies, flapping their wings and appearing a few hundred meters behind LV Xiangyang in the blink of an eye. Being locked on by Wang Lan's space god arrow just now, LV Xiangyang was already scared out of his wit. He had been on guard against Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun breaking through his defenses, but he had forgotten about it. By the time he reacted and wanted to stop them, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun had already broken through his defenses. LV Xiangyang hurriedly chased after them. LV Feng and Cho Bo also suddenly stopped fighting and instantly rushed to the back. However, the others didn't have such reaction speed. Li Yang and the Star Sea Realm experts of the Yu family were still defending against the Lu family's attack. Above the sky, the white clouds twisted, and a shapeless, distorted ripple appeared in the blue sky. Suddenly, a layer of dark clouds came from nowhere and gathered around the shapeless ripple. The shapeless ripple was revealed by the dark clouds, revealing a terrifying rotating cloud cluster. Above the dark clouds, a majestic mountain gate appeared, emitting a milky white light. This time, the mountain gate was bigger than any of the previous ones. Even the stone steps under the mountain gate and the distant mountains were faintly discernible above the clouds. Look, the southern heavenly gate. The southern heavenly gate has appeared again. Above the sea, the hard-working fishermen had just cast a huge net. When they raised their heads to wipe their sweat, they suddenly saw a layer of dark clouds above the eastern sky, covering the horizon as if it was another world. Above the dark clouds, the southern heavenly gate could be clearly seen. Friends watching the live broadcast, everyone quickly look, the southern heavenly gate has appeared again. This is the third time this month that the southern heavenly gate has appeared, and this time, it is clearer than any of the previous times. If someone says that this is just an ordinary mirage again, I don't believe it. Look at this steep mountain peak, look at this huge southern heavenly gate, where in the world can there be such a magical building? Host, stop blabbering, the camera is shaking. At this moment I have a question. Dare I ask the heavens, are there immortals? This is definitely an immortal ruin, don't stop me, I want to go and find a master. I want to open a mystic realm, I want to ride a coffin pulled by 9 dragons. At the same time, the headlines of various media outlets were all about the southern heavenly gate. Although the southern heavenly gate had appeared many times already. However, the topic of the southern heavenly gate was very popular. As the topic of the southern heavenly gate became more popular, humans began to explore the question of whether there were immortals in the world. From the history of human evolution, the so-called myths and immortals were just the ancient Takeshi Hoshi. However, how could the ancient Takeshi Hoshi be able to move mountains, fill seas, chase stars, and seize the moon? If Nuwa was just a Takeshi Hoshi, how could he mend the heavens? If Hoodoo was just a Takeshi Hoshi, how could he merge with the will of the earth? The ancient Takeshi Hoshi was too powerful as an omnipotent god or an omnipotent immortal. Looking at the current Takeshi Hoshi, they couldn't bear to look at it. The onlookers only thought of the southern heavenly gate as a fantasy of the world of immortals. After analyzing it, many scholars and experts also felt that the southern heavenly gate was more like an ancient sect left behind from ancient times. Although they didn't know that the so-called nature of the southern heavenly gate had been confirmed by Wang Lan. In fact, the higher-ups of the Jade State had also received the latest information. Therefore, the scholars were excited, as the ancient cultivation civilization was about to appear in the world. At this moment, in the reclaimed space of the East Sea, a cloud of black fog overflowed from the broken void, and a ferocious abyssal beast showed up in the thick fog. It roared at the sky, letting out a roar that shook the world. Evil beast! With a violent roar, the Qing Emperor, who was dressed in black armor, seemed to have crossed the space and appeared above the abyssal beast. His palm turned into the sky and slammed toward the abyssal beast. Under the dark clouds of the southern heavenly gate, a crack suddenly appeared in the distorted space. When the crack appeared, a terrifying suction force came from the crack. The metal fortress directly under the crack suddenly lost its gravity and slowly floated up into the sky. What's going on? Father, be careful. LV Chi hurried to LV Yi's side and supported him. Silly child, we have successfully opened the passage to the Bright Yang Sword Pavilion. We will soon be able to enter the Bright Yang Sword Pavilion, LV said excitedly. The greed in his expression could no longer be concealed. 3,000 years, 3,000 years of painstaking searching, countless ancestors spent their entire lives to no avail. I am already in my twilight years, but I didn't expect the heavens to favor me so much that I would find the Bright Yang Sword Pavilion in my twilight years. After obtaining the ancient cultivation inheritance, my LV family will soar to a height of 90,000 miles and become the leader of the human race, commanding the heroes. Thinking of this scene, LV Yi's eyes filled with tears. His body slowly rose into the air and flew toward the crack. Behind him, 2 streams of light were rushing over. LV family, there are powerful beasts everywhere in the fixed space, and there are even many abyssal beasts. Opening the fixed space crack will definitely be a catastrophe for the human race. Do you want to destroy the human race? The moment Wang Lan's question rang out, she had already rushed to the bottom of the crack. Suddenly, her body was enveloped by an invisible force. Together with Yu Ruoyun, she was locked onto by the suction force of the crack and slowly rose into the sky. Chapter 4:17. The suction force produced by this space crack seemed to carry some kind of law. No matter how strong or powerful you were, you couldn't exert all your strength. Yu Ruoyun and Wang Lan frantically mobilized their astral powers, but their surging astral powers couldn't affect anything around them. Their bodies were still rising slowly, getting closer and closer to the space crack. Boom! Suddenly, an extremely hot ray of light shot towards the crack in the sky. The crack twisted slightly, and the extremely hot ray of light was instantly swallowed and disappeared without a trace. Yu Ruoyun frowned. Suddenly, purple light gushed out from her eyes. Don't! Wang Lan hurriedly stopped her. This space crack is strange. Don't be impulsive. Yu Ruoyun paused for a moment, and the purple light in her eyes disappeared. Once the astral god arrow was released, Yu Ruoyun would no longer be able to fight. It would be fine if the space crack could be closed, but if it couldn't be closed and they entered a fixed space, she would be at the mercy of others. The astral god arrow was a desperate attack. If it didn't succeed, she would die without a doubt. Soon, Lu Xiangyang, Lu Yifeng and Chou Bo arrived at the bottom of the crack, and the three titled battle pet warriors were also sucked into the sky without any suspense. Lu Yi was the first to enter the void, followed by Lu Qi, and then the small fries around Lu Qi, Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun entered the space crack one after another, and the feeling of muddle-headedness hit them instantly. Wang Lan hurriedly bit the tip of his tongue to restore his divine awareness as soon as possible. Before he could see his surroundings clearly, the feeling of weightlessness hit him. He and Yu Ruoyun were already in midair, and they were falling rapidly. They instantly activated their light-heavy displacement. Their bodies suddenly stopped, and then they slowly floated down like dandelions. Their feet touched the ground, but their hearts couldn't be at ease. The surroundings were somewhat familiar. It was almost the same as when they entered the 7th floor of the 9-floored pagoda. A dense forest, and a green mountain in the distance. Where are the people from the Lu family? And Uncle Cho? Yu Ruoyun asked nervously after landing. Although we entered from the same crack, we might have been teleported to different places. Look around and be alert. Before Wang Lan could finish his words, the earth suddenly shook. Her figure instantly dissipated and turned into a colorful butterfly fluttering in the air. The moment she turned into a colorful butterfly, dozens of tentacles stretched out from under her feet and instantly pierced through the colorful butterfly. Because the nether butterfly was in between reality and illusion, the nether butterfly's state belonged to the category of incorporeal creatures. Therefore, these tentacles were unable to harm it in the slightest. The nether butterfly flapped its wings and instantly appeared 300 meters away. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's figures appeared and looked at the tentacles that suddenly attacked them. The tentacles drilled out of the ground, and their shape seemed to have no fixed shape. It was like a green jelly-like liquid, but the liquid could solidify into any shape or substance. Gradually, the liquid completely drilled out of the ground, forming a strange creature that was 10 meters tall. The bloody mouth in the middle took up 1/3 of the size of its body. Large mouthfuls of mucus dripped down, as if they were drooling at Wang Lan and Xiao Luo. Attack! Wang Lan instantly shouted. Wang Lan used flame arts, while Yu Ruoyun used wind and dry ice. The roaring fire dragon that was formed by the fusion of their star powers was like a speeding high-speed train that crashed into the exotic beast fiercely. The exotic beast's body instantly changed shape and turned into a silver-white shield. The power of the Takashi Hoshi technique that the two of them used together was definitely beyond S-class, but it had no effect on the shield that the exotic beast had turned into. Neither the impact of the lava nor the high temperature of the fire element had any effect on the shield. This exotic beast was a little strong. Suddenly, a warning sign rose. Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun turned into nether butterflies and fluttered in the air almost at the same time. It was also at this moment that a huge energy beam with a diameter of several meters shot out from behind the shield. In almost 0.01 seconds it blasted through where Wang Lan was. The dense forest behind him was instantly destroyed and turned into ashes. When Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun's figures appeared in midair, the dense forest behind them was blasted open in an instant, creating a huge chasm over 500 meters long. The power of this attack alone had already exceeded the Star Sea realm. An exotic beast above the Star Sea realm? Looks like the level of this space is comparable to the 7th floor. I'm afraid it's not just that. Suddenly, a strong sense of danger came from all directions. The two in the sky instantly had their backs against each other. In the area they were in, a few huge figures slowly stood up from the dense forest around them. The trees that were dozens of meters tall were actually only at the waist of these exotic beasts. The huge exotic beasts were all staring at the two frozen in the sky. The feeling of being surrounded by a pack of wolves was as if he was the plate of delicacies that was being served to them. Gulp, although it was very embarrassing, Wang Lan still swallowed a mouthful of saliva. If the battle a few days ago in the East Sea was a group of them fighting against another group, then now it was a group of exotic beasts fighting against one of them. The problem was, this dungeon might be full of these super exotic beasts. There was no retreat to speak of. Go down! Yu Ruoyun suddenly shouted. The two of them instantly turned into streaks of light and fell down. The instant the two of them left, a shock wave that was hard to see with the naked eye brushed past them. The corner of Wang Lan's clothes at the back was only grazed slightly, and it instantly turned into powder. Phoenix constellation, with a shout, the star palace opened. The silver-white Phoenix constellation Saint garment instantly broke out of the star palace and immediately broke down and covered Wang Lan's body. It was finally time to test the new Phoenix constellation Saint garment's resistance. Although the Phoenix constellation Saint garment's metallic material was terrifyingly strong, Wang Lan wasn't confident. Which of these exotic beasts in front of him were ordinary? Wang Lan dared to pat his chest and say that he wouldn't be able to defeat any of these exotic beasts. Landing on the ground, that strange green exotic beast revealed a human-like mocking smile. It was as if it was telling the two of them, "Run, why aren't you running anymore? Why did you come back? Damn, it's definitely a demon." Rumble! A loud sound came from afar. Following the loud sound, a strong wave of star power swept over. In the distance, the Lu family might have also fought with the exotic beasts. And because of this loud sound, two of the exotic beasts surrounding Wang Lan were attracted over. But in the current situation, there wasn't much difference between two more and two less. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wang Lan slapped the ground. Devil's Snare flower, the emerald green vines instantly took root and sprouted. Under the fusion of the two's star power, it grew into a vine forest in the blink of an eye. The green exotic beast on the opposite side seemed to think that it saw its own kind. Suddenly, its body liquefied, and countless tentacles stretched out. Boom! The other party attacked. Wang Lan controlled the vines to receive it. The tentacles of both sides kept colliding and breaking, like 200 armed giants waving their fists crazily. Boom! The entire Devil's Snare flower shook violently. The two exotic beasts behind rushed into the Devil's Snare flower crazily. Yu Ruoyun was controlling the vines to intercept the two giant exotic beasts. Wang Lan bloom! Bloom! Devil's Snare flower, with the surge of Wang Lan's star power, countless flower buds suddenly bloomed. The colorful flowers filled the area of the Devil's Snare flower, and the pollen instantly formed a thin mist. The real killer move of the Devil's Snare flower wasn't the vine's entanglement attack, nor was it its ability to absorb star power. It was the pollen that could create illusions. The lethality of Takashi Hoshi's poison was indiscriminate. No matter how strong you were, if you didn't have poison resistance, it was only a matter of time before you were defeated by the Takashi Hoshi's poison. Soon, the two exotic beasts started to slow down. Under Yu Ruoyun's control, the vines successfully entangled them. A steady stream of star power was absorbed by the vines. At the same time, the pressure on Wang Lan's star power was reduced. Rumble, sounds of fighting came from afar. Soon, a group of people was running for their lives under the pursuit of several exotic beasts. Yu Ruoyun immediately saw the injured Uncle Cho in the crowd. "Uncle Cho, come here." Uncle Cho was already injured and covered in blood. Hearing Yu Ruoyun's call, his eyes lit up. He sped up and turned into a stream of light, rushing into the devil's snare flower. "Come here, I'll treat you," Wang Lan hurriedly said. A life chain was connected to Uncle Cho, and Uncle Cho's injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. "We'll go too," a Lu family disciple shouted in surprise. "No, that's the wood element Takashi Hoshi's skill. Who knows what the Yu family is going to do to us? We'll be walking right into their trap if we go in," Lu Yifeng hurriedly shouted. "But, seventh uncle, if we don't go, we'll all die." LV Yifeng's face revealed a difficult expression. In his mind, he recalled how LV Xiangyang was killed by the giant beast. A titled battle pet warrior had died under the attack of the exotic beast's energy cannon. How frustrating! "Why aren't you coming over? We can only survive if we work together." Uncle Cho shouted angrily when he saw that the Lu family was still hesitating. "Patriarch? What do you think?" Lu Yifeng asked Lu Yi. "I didn't expect that the dignified Haoyang Sword Pavilion would be occupied by exotic beasts. The exotic beasts are ferocious. We should put aside our prejudices and work together. But we also have to be careful. Once we enter, we'll be meat on the chopping block." "Yes," Lu Yifeng hurriedly responded. "Leave 10 people behind to buy us time. We'll go and meet up with Princess Yu." Lu Xiangyang protected Lu Yi and rushed toward Wang Lan with a few direct descendants of the Lu family. How could those who were ordered to stay behind be willing? If not for the threat of Lu Yifeng's strength, they would have rebelled on the spot. Seeing Lu Yifeng escape with his people, they symbolically bombarded them and instantly turned to run. Boom! Several beams of light descended from the sky and bombarded the fleeing crowd. In the blink of an eye, the 10 Takashi Hoshi who stayed behind were swept by the exotic beast's energy cannon and were instantly annihilated. Then, a few slower Lu family juniors were also swept by the exotic beast's energy cannon. In the blink of an eye, the original team of dozens of people was reduced to a dozen or so. However, this was not the worst part. That strange green beast suddenly grew a head from behind its butt, and countless tentacles suddenly shot out to stab at the Lu family members. "Evil beast, die!" Lu Yifeng's hair fluttered wildly, and a hurricane blade shot out from his fingertips. Countless tentacles were instantly crushed by the blade and hit the exotic beast's face without changing its momentum. Its huge head instantly exploded. But this exotic beast was also strange. Its head was blown apart, but it was not affected at all. In an instant, it grew a new head, opened its huge mouth, and bombarded the crowd with an energy cannon. Boom! Those who were quick enough to dodge were saved, but those who were slow to react instantly died without leaving a corpse behind. These were the elites of the Lu family's direct descendants. After entering this space, the Lu family's 3,000 years of accumulation was directly shattered. Lu Yi had to think about a question now. Even if they got the inheritance of the Haoyang Sword Pavilion later, with the Lu family's current strength, could they defend it? Buzz! Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound. The swords in the hands of the Lu family members trembled violently, as if they were about to fall out of their hands. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.